I go drink today.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
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 So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
We in the rum shop again. We back in the rum shop with my partner, my drinking partner.
Oh boy, what's going on?
Intro the table now.
Alright. So we in the rum shop is another edition. This episode 4. I think it's 4. Nice man. So we have, of course, Phillip Edward Alexander, myself, Stephan Reis. We have Stephan Matteson.
Dr. Stephan Matteson.
Dr. Stephen Matteson. Dr. Stephen Matteson.
We pull Avonelle to come out for a drink.
We have
I'm drinking water. Okay,
White
on my church
White
friends
oak.
is water.
they go turn the wine just now. We have Avonelle Hector Joseph. And of course we have Ramona Ramdial.
Hi.
She come to debunk some of the things Fuad can't say last year.
Now the last time I saw
support.
Ramona was at 96.1 Studios purchasing Marshall Monday tickets. I remember that well, you know.
Pulling strings, saying she know people.
Adiana, I gone for general admission ticket. My girl gone for Diamond.
Ultra VIP.
Diamond, oh gosh.
My goodness.
Diamond,
I save up for that.
I said, Papa, yo.
It was worth it.
It was worth it?
It was worth it.
Alright, but it's Marshall, it was
Of
Marshall
course,
Monday.
it's Marshall.
Yeah, we go do.
I don't care what they say about that boy, and I just want to say this as an entertainer.
Talented.
Second to
yes.
none.
I just want some of his money for some of my projects.
What's up, money?
If you looking,
Good
Same
luck.
soil. That's
Good
one
luck.
of his projects.
When you're ready for your second marriage,
Good luck. Good luck.
Avonelle wants some of that alimony
It
money.
have anybody in the past. I mean, the conversation used to be super blue. Ronnie
What
McIntosh.
entertainers? No wait.
When we talk about stage performance,
Okay, but you see,
Marshall can touch blue. We
Marshall
talking
is-
about blue in
Marshall
the
is
prime.
choreographed, you
We
know,
talking about
backup
blue in the prime.
dancers and-
Marshall kill
A kinda-
fets like PSA, you know. When remember they used to have fets like PSA fet and 13 band on stage. and
Brass
things.
Festival.
Brass Festival.
Right.
Brass, those kind of shows. What you get at a Marshall Monday is a kind of whole event.
Yeah.
End to end.
Right.
It's not like a MC saying next on stage.
Yeah.
It's not so. From the time the first beat, budoop, to the
Yeah.
end, budoop,
Yeah.
all of that plan, all of that
it's a
Always
show,
rehearsal.
it's a
theme.
show.
All of that
You
practice.
always have a theme
Yeah,
as well.
it's a show.
You know why he stopped going Brass Festival? I remember he used to perform in Brass Festival with Ecstatic.
Yes.
But Brass Festival was he
Brass Festival was it
Best
for all the
man.
bands.
Yeah, best man.
And I remember interviewing him on Robert Amara's station years ago. And that was in 2011, I think it was, he sang Advantage. And we did an interview with him. And he explained it. He said he created alternative concert. Because remember it was alternative
It was
concert.
alternative concert.
And then when the stage collapsed, they changed it and rebranded to Marshall Monday.
But that was an alternative.
But
concert.
that was an alternative
Nobody knew they was going for that.
Exactly. No. but the reason why he created it, he said imagine this, he said in 98, right? He had the biggest song for the year, Big Truck. And they put him on somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning when everybody leaving. And he said he find that was it for him.
But Brass Festival
And he
was
decided
a
to
big
move
show.
away from Brass.
And to say that you was going up against Brass took some
Brass Festival, you said about
I think only Marshall Montano could do that.
13 bands, boss.
Venture,
I
Traffic.
remember being across the road.
Static.
I across the road on the roof of Long Circular Mall watching must be 20,000 people
Carol
do the
and
donkey with Ronnie McIntosh. Do the donkey.
I was in a
Everybody
fit.
on people's shoulder.
I was in a fit and Ronnie McIntosh come
That
on the
what
same
happened
road
here.
donkey.
That what happened here,
That
right?
what happened like that.
Ronnie McIntosh come on the same road donkey. Ronnie McIntosh
And
could I move a crowd boy?
Yeah,
We in effect
yeah,
Move it to the left.
and
Move it
it
to the
had a
right.
tent.
yeah, he was
And
king
men
of
pick up the
movement.
tent, you know,
Mover.
and they see the tent
Yeah.
coming through the fence. So hold on, kid, hold your whole tent.
Yeah, for you.
So alright, so you ask me, soca performers, they have few people had the infectiousness of Blue Boy Super Blue
Yeah.
when he on stage. We didn't expect, I don't think anybody was looking for David Rudder when he came. I mean, you used to see him in Charlie's Roots. There was an alternative.
Yeah.
They
Charlie Schultz was a big
But
bad.
nah,
that
man,
was
I went to
80s.
see
They dominated.
I went to see Steel Pulse in Spectacular Forum. Charlie's Roots play before Steel Pulse. We get on bad for Steel Pulse, but the act that had the greatest impact on me in that concert was Charlie's Roots. I said that fella Rudder, he going places, man.
Yeah, the slowest road march in history. I think so, no.
He was an alternative. Nobody
The
knew
man with the
that.
hammer? No, there was the
Nah,
man
no,
that
but
was
he again.
Bacchanal lady.
Bacchanal lady. Yeah.
No, but that year
Bahia
was
Girl.
sweet, but that
Bahia Girl?
year
Bahia Girl.
was Bahia Girl. The year with
That was
Hammer.
in 1986, 87.
Watch
somewhere
me, you're
around
talking Young King, Calypso King, Road March.
there.
Right?
Mhm.
That year was Bahia Girl and the Hammer.
And the hammer.
With the man with the hammer.
But yeah, the slow. I think yeah, one of the slowest road march
God.
in history.
That's a weird thing to
Yeah.
consider.
I remember as a little fella. I remember even road march. I
But
was a
He
little
was
fella.
old but little fella.
Yeah,
No, I was a
yeah,
little boy in the stands with my grandmother. My grandmother used to come in the stands in the Queen's Park Savannah to see the mass. I used to go and sit down there. Cool
That was,
and
that was
take
the
food, everything.
straw basket, I
Like
think.
way back.
No,
Tatty Mull kind of thing.
but Rudder brought structure to the soca. You know what I'm saying? You ever heard that song Calabash? When Minchel.
Yeah.
That was in that same era. as
That was just
in-
before. That was just before. That was
Yeah.
still Charlie's Roots.
Yeah.
But the production values in a Charlie's Roots and then a David Rudder song was different. And I remember the year that he came out at Hammer. But that's the year he came out as David Rudder.
Yeah,
That year, Coca-Cola was doing clips and snippets from songs that come in on the radio. And one that they used to do plenty was the Hammer. And I had real get to like that song and I wanted to hear it. Watching Rudder sing, because I going back to times when you can't get the music like just so, like how you can get
Exactly.
music. No,
Yeah.
no. Then you gotta wait, hey, look at playing and turn up the radio.
True.
Yeah.
True.
When he came on stage in the big yard, the marsh ground, and sing Hammer, go back and watch that. I mean, the audio is terrible, the recording is terrible, but
The
still,
quality, yeah.
the quality,
Still.
but you could still see that he captured our audience. And Maurice Brash said, I think it was Maurice Brash was announcing, he said, you just watch the King of Calypso
Yeah.
perform, because, and
No, it has certain entertainers, Calypsonians, soca artists. When they hit the stage, the crowd in the palm there. They have it.
Yeah,
they have it.
they
This
come on
happened.
the stage.
Marshall had it naturally from Cynthia Allen Chen. Super Blue.
well,
Ross
he
McIntosh.
grew up, Marshall literally
Crazy.
grew up in the thing.
Crazy was our next one too.
Marshall, his first song, he won the school monarch, I think. That was
Too young to soca.
Too young to soca.
Junior King.
He was
or
Junior
something
King.
like that.
Yeah.
Junior Calypso King.
Yeah. That is,
That was
I mean,
just
like
like
local
Natasha.
Michael
That was just
Jackson.
like
Yeah.
Natasha.
It's the
but
closest
she
thing.
just never
It's the
really
closest
came
thing we see
Hey,
locally to Michael
boy.
Jackson.
He was our Michael Jackson. I think that's what they
Michael
did.
Jackson.
I think that's what they did. And he was I mean his
it's like I
parents.
hear that song today still. They say you're too young to soca.
Yeah.
And I mean, look how the culture changed. You mentioned Peter Minchell with all that creativity in the mass, and now we're going to bikini and beads. Avonelle can't play mass again. If Minchell was still in the mass, Avonelle might have been in the taking a band, but Avonelle not the show.
I always say
They don't
this,
reach church and take Avonelle can't.
if there was
because
one
in the church,
person I would
you
have
don't want to
played
go out
basket
and...
in my life, if there was ever an opportunity, it would be Peter Min.
But
Right, I can't do nothing
But
as
Smith,
a them.
You
social,
can't be with the church and then playing bikini mass
I
and
can hold body outside of the room.
but on social media, the first band to launch for this carnival is Humor. And they have a little clip that come across my thing. I not knocking it there. The girl assemble well, but I don't know what she wearing. I swear to you. They have feathers all out here. But here, all I see is what God gives she.
we went from...
And I'm not knocking it there.
No, we're not
I'm
knocking
not
it.
a prude.
We're not
But
knocking
I saying, If that was my girl child, I outside there with a shuffle.
Listen, we went from originality and creativity to following
Asian
it's just
Rio
like-
Carnival.
Right,
Brazil,
Rio de Janeiro, right,
yeah.
that's right. We want our
You know
carnival
why?
like we should,
You know
and don't
why?
monopolize.
And this will bring the politics.
One man own carnival.
This is what will bring the politics in it. Because the governments of the day didn't understand the importance of the culture of making mass. Not just whining in the road. I remember growing up in my house. Everybody house who was in carnival supported a band. And you know for about the 3 months, you ain't seen your mother and your sisters and them in the night because they buy Edmund Hart or they buy Stephen Leon and they making mass. They making the headdress, they making the costume, they making the wings, they doing all the sequence, the wire bending and thing. That was a thing in our mass. Because the politicians did not understand the importance of the culture of being part of the manufacture of the mass, they didn't take steps to protect that industry. Jose, you ever see what St. James culture used to be for Jose?
For
Oh
Jose,
yeah, that used to be lively.
look at Jose.
That used to be
I used to-
But the creation of the
It don't have
anything.
Jose in St. James used to draw huge
Thousands.
crowd.
massive.
Yeah,
That,
I-
brother,
that was like-
Main road
brother,
full of-
that,
that was like a
if
big
you ever
festival.
had a tourism minister who understood diversity,
Yeah.
Jose would be a massive thing.
Yeah, that was a
And
big
it
thing.
just-
I remember that.
It just
Like
I
yesterday.
could tell you a nice Jose story.
go ahead, yeah.
Once I was driving down Kokoriko and I bounced up the Jose side and the tasse, rak, taka, taka,
That was the
taka, rak.
thing, the burning around.
No, that's Diwali. Yeah, that's
Anyway, Jose is going through the,
Yeah,
it's
I
called a
know,
taja.
but I know the Jose.
Anyway, so tassa, rak, taka, 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 rak, taka, 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 and I'm behind them, rak, taka, taka, rak, taka, taka, taka. And then Kokorit, right? They gone down Mokarapo. So I gone up, and I gone up in St. James. Rak, taka, 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 rak, and they gone, and I still beat it. And then I realized, I still hearing the tassa. It's a flat eye driving on, you know. I was there, I beaten the steering wheel. So they remember the flat. Rak, taka, 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 rak.
Because you know what? You just said those songs, so that's why you was here and thinking that you're guys that has a song.
Oh jeez.
I danced to the rhythm of the flat.
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
It's Forest Park drinking.
I wasn't looking for that there, no. You catch me there, no. I wasn't looking for that. But I got one.
I think you happen in a bad neighborhood or something happened, you find somebody like somebody else.
That's a Stephen Matterson story. You never know where it's going. How it gonna end?
No, but it's a serious thing, you know. I mean, all these things are things that used to keep the community together, used to keep people
Yes.
together. Now everybody so, and that is why we have the situation with crime that we have going on right now.
Exactly. And that's the point.
And
That you cannot lock up and lock down crime.
Clearly.
You cannot. And all the argument about, and I am not knocking my good partner Gary. Gary is an accomplished commissioner of police.
Oh, yeah.
But it cannot just be policing. Policing, and he will tell you,
Yeah.
Gary's a sportsman. Right now we talking here, filming this Gary out playing football, he's in the line later.
Yeah.
He's a sportsman.
But look,
But let me make
But-
back
but-
let me make back
Look, we
you
do
and
the guns
Gary's
on
partners
circular
and all be sparring on Facebook and stupid people be taking sides. That's what you
Yeah.
saying there? I keep moving.
But only
No,
stupid
no,
people will
that
take
was
sides.
not-
That is why that's why I don't be drinking.
Yeah,
no,
we not do that, we not do that.
I don't like the taste of
You know-
bushi anyway.
You know what? You know
That
what?
is
You
why
know what
I not
Trinidadians,
go
you know what
drinking
Trinidadians
no
understand?
bushi or nobody
You
people.
and I could be the best of friends, but we could disagree.
We could disagree.
Agree to
Bushi
disagree.
that's
No,
bad.
no, but we could disagree.
Yeah.
And
Last
Gary
week-
and I, we're not stupid enough that
We're stupid, they're stupid,
we're
we're
stupid, but not stupid enough. You
Like
just-
the levels of stupidity, but don't cost that.
There could be issues that we just never say. If you and I agree on everything, one of us not necessary.
You're redundant.
Correct.
Redundancy.
Correct. I mean, look, just last week during this RUM Shop talk, and I'm sure if you go and look at last week's episode, you'll see it. You said Gary Griffith should reapply for the post of Commissioner of Police, and I think he went on to say stop fooling himself as a political leader with the Senate party or something to that effect.
At that part, yeah.
I think something
That was
to that
him.
effect.
That is called choking fire.
And then you went and said, I know you go here, man, you go get vexed with me, you know, but we had to talk it really approval rating and this and that. Yes, you understand.
There's a replay.
No, I just said, you said it last week that you have to understand is approval rating, not 89% or 90% approval rating, is for Gary Griffith as a commissioner of police and
People
not necessarily Gary Griffith as a person.
People living in
So
fear.
he has to come to the
Living in
realization. And boom, he announces on Saturday, because we did the taping last week, Thursday, and on Saturday, the holy press conference at the Hyatt, and he announces.
Well, I'll take credit, Phillip will fix it.
No. We would not see the show yet to think. So because I know we pre-recorded. But the thing is, he is going to get black.
Have to get black.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a move
No, but boss,
for the position of commissioner of police.
No, well,
it's a very good political move if
I
it
do
plays
agree.
chess.
I do agree it's a good political move. And I honestly, this is what Gary's get next to me for.
But you recommended that, right?
Boss, hear me. Hear what I'm saying to you. We had talked this off air. You see how you make him laugh? We talked this off air.
No, we were on air.
We was on air.
We was on air.
Not that. I'm talking about today. When we
okay.
were saying that we don't have right reasons for our politics. Our politics. If Keith Rowley, as Prime Minister, ignores a commissioner of police that the people want, Trinidadians don't like commissioners. When have you ever heard, besides Burrows?
People come out rooting for commissioner of police, yeah.
Gary brought good light to law enforcement. You had to admit it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
He brought good light to law enforcement.
He had some good initiatives, Phillip.
Keith Rowley, as Prime Minister, should not have the authority to ignore the people.
But if he does, this is what I'm saying, it's a good move politically. Because if I'm the interim leader of a political party, and I'm a former commissioner of police, and we know what went on with the merit list and the interference there, right? Good. The Prime Minister come out and he admitted that he had the meeting with the former PSC president. If he reapplies now on top the list again, and it goes to the parliament and they reject it.
But I said that.
You see, now he remembers what he said.
No, but she says what she referring to.
Okay, but here's my point.
Would he reapply?
If they reapply,
he has.
Okay. If they reject it, and the population is alert to the fact that the government now is saying to the people, we don't care how much all they're dead. We must have our way.
We
don't care if you think this man deserves the work.
But she said it earlier.
Is that not reason to mobilize?
No, but that's a different question.
And put the government under pressure now?
You see, the problem with being an interim political leader and applying for the post of commissioner, and I am sorry to be the one to put the cat among the pigeons because the rest of the commentators not saying this. The issue is now the politicizing of the office of commissioner.
Okay.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And people are going to want to talk about that. But Gary is a guy that you like. So you're not going to talk about it because it's Gary. But you've set a precedent.
Okay.
And the danger of that precedent is you could end up with a politician as commissioner of police that you don't like. And you need to be careful. There is a separation. But when you said that it was a good move, I want to tell you it really wasn't a good move. It is looking like they're not sure what they're doing.
Was that the NTA or the government?
But I just want to come back to the discussion we was having with the development of the young person and the use of all the facility to holistically develop young people, which is the incorrect use of it. Which is why we have so much of people growing up in crime and having nothing else to do with
But that was the point. That's how we end up talking about Gary.
Right.
Because we said it shouldn't only rely on, you see all them little boys who was burning tires?
Right.
They have no options.
I want to come to that. The thing is, for some reason, and I blame any PNM for this.
Man, bring around.
They don't understand. Yes, I blame them. They somehow don't understand.
You want to blame the PNM? I just realized when you were asking.
somehow they don't understand the need for something else other than the education system to reduce.
They don't even understand.
They don't understand where crime starts. I'll tell you something. Before 2015, before the PNM got into office, through the General Council or through a committee of the General Council, a committee was set up. At the time I was in PNM, a committee was set up with about 6 very good people. Right. I wouldn't call their names, right? And I was part of that committee. And that committee was designed, the talk was that people of Avonelle must not have an opportunity to say that the PNM have never done anything for them. and that committee, just now I want to say,
you're going to hurt her.
Right. And what that committee did, that committee sat for about 6 months and developed a paper. They went through Avonelle, they did the research, they did a whole number of things, and they put together a paper. And that paper, what that paper was that every single household in the community, before somebody falls through the crack, we will know who they are. We will know how to develop them. We will know what are the needs in the community. And we will, and I'm talking about the 5 or 6
You're
committees.
You're not letting me interrupt, but I want to tell you,
finish.
But why would I need a paper?
Just now, allow me to finish. And that paper was handed in to all the individuals, MPs that actually won their area, their constituency. That nothing came out of that. They didn't even look at it. But hear what?
So all our work for nothing.
Before we had this incident with people burning tires and the last shooting, there was one about 2 years ago.
In June 2020,
right.
Just before the election.
You know, they set up a committee, just like that committee that I spoke about in 2015. They set up a committee headed by, I think it was Anthony Watkins, to do the same thing.
Yeah.
The question must be asked, what did that committee do? Did that committee
busy work?
Did that committee present a paper?
No,
busy
but
work.
They also
right?
funding 30 million.
Did funding
Did
that committee?
It is busy.
Or was it just window dressing for the people in Beatum and that kind of thing to hush?
So let me just say something. For everything that happened that makes the national news in a community like Beatum, so who know what happened in 9th Story? Right where in 2 planning communities where young men are getting killed. Fellas hanging themselves out of frustration. People can't leave the planning. These are things that are not making the news. So for every big explosion and big thing that you have, there's pockets of that happening all over Trinidad and Tobago. In communities that have been loyal to the People's National Movement. And that is why, as a person of African descent, I feel very pained. Because when I look at all the communities, the most busted, broken communities in Trinidad and Tobago,
is the one that always
the ones that have given the loyalty.
But it's not by
except
design.
for 1986 and 1991, you had like Diego Martin
But
West.
by design.
And
So
one or
what
two
was that
others. So
question?
that pains me.
But why would that be so? Is it that the people in the leadership of the PNM don't care about black people? And I'd ask the question just so.
Well,
It had to be just so. I'll tell you why. Somebody is making a decision because money gets spent in communities. That's where the development comes. You did a paper. That paper would have been action with money. She said somebody else got $30 million.
no, that one was not action with money, but the one after was action with money.
I think at the end of the day, what I see with the politicians on both sides, they have these fancy programs. And at the end of the day, they want to be able to stand in parliament and give figures.
Correct.
I spent 10 billion on health. I had it. But then for somebody to actually, okay, so you did this program and you did that program. How did we engage young people? How many of our young people actually went? What are the stats? What is the return on what is the ROI? Nothing. But it's just to say, look, you can't say we didn't do anything. And I wouldn't say that the PNM didn't do anything. That would be foolish.
Have they,
but what is the return on the investment?
Right, have they okay, as we're talking about that and developing and recognizing where we've fallen short with the youth, right? In terms of developing them. SEA, half of the students get below 50%.
No, 60-something%.
60-something% get below 50%,
yes.
right? Okay, here's my question. I wouldn't have bet my bottom dollar that the vast majority of the students that got less than 50% is government schools and not private school and college. I wouldn't have bet that.
Boss man, how about betting this?
I
$10
believe
million
that.
that you're going to spend.
The reason why I raised that, hold on, the reason why I raised that, and I spoke about it this week. Go George Street. Eastern Boys located on George Street. Southeast is in Port of Spain as well. Look at these schools in these communities. Tell me if as a child you feel inspired going to a school.
Boss man,
But those schools are doing
there is
those
a
schools
school
are doing
on
very
Nelson
well.
Street.
Well, but I'm saying the environment.
There is a school on Nelson Street with a bullet shield wall.
That's
A
Southeast Port of Spain.
bullet shield
Southeast Port of
wall.
Spain. But that school happens to be doing
Brother,
very
man,
well.
I'm not telling you no, I'm not knocking the children, I'm
You will
saying.
get children coming out of these schools that doing well, but is it the majority of the
Oh,
children
gosh.
or the minority of the
Listen,
children?
man, but only
If you have
talking
a-
this.
if
Only
you have a minority
Nah.
effect, you
You
have
go-
to start looking
you-
at okay.
But we spoke about that
We
last
need
week.
to- yeah, but we need to
And
fix
the
the
education system.
communities.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're not-
It's
well,
not just the education system in the communities.
Well,
if
yes,
I'm going to a school and the paint on the wall is 10 years old and nobody want to paint the
I'm
wall,
trying to find
make the
something
school
on
look
this
good,
I just wanna
so
say
that I as a child when I come to school I feel
No,
like
but
somebody
Stephan, we
want to
agree
give
with that.
children
Stephan,
feel like somebody cares.
Stephan, we agree with that.
I had a turnover our table here, but
You remember we had that discussion with
It's a mental thing.
with
Mr.
Furkan last
Matterson,
week.
you but Mr. Matterson, and I want to say this: you're living in a country that is. We have a lot of bright people that accepts that the same education system, the same curriculum, the same teachers training college, the same Ministry of Education, the same funding could produce some prestige schools and some failed schools, and nobody could explain to me how is that possible.
How that possible?
And
Okay.
I went on Mukarapo Road and I did a video of 6 inches space between Fatima College grounds and Mukarapo. We have a healthcare system. We talk about my arm before the show started film, that I could have lose my arm if I couldn't afford to pay for surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you
That's
had
the
to go
truth.
to a public hospital.
Boss, I'm saying to you again, just watch these steps in your life. That these two children, before they reach preschool steps, one child has an advantage already.
Yeah.
And then the actual preschool, you talk about government school. Now Stephan want to say that this school is good school and that school is bad school and whatever. But if you ever walk in Don Ross or St. Andrews in I tell people I have first-hand experience. I as a little child went to, my parents wasn't rich.
Right.
So I went to a school called Romilly's Prep on Anna Street in Woodbrook. That was somebody driveway divided by 3 blackboards. My son went St. Andrews. It's a different thing. And it's a different life. And I tell you.
Exactly. Let me tell you, I went Maria Goretti. From Maria Goretti, I ended up in Holy Rosary Prep. Still, from there, my grandfather, partner, was the principal in Borsia RC. He transferred me out to Holy Rosary Prep. I started off in Maria Goretti, you know. I primary school, we talk about it. Maria Goretti is certain standard. Holy Rosary Prep, same thing. Take me out of there and put me in Borsia, you know, RC, you know. When I as a little fella, when I as a little child, I end up in Borsia, I was lost. I was wondering about who is this children? You know?
You learn new things.
Yeah, no. From there, I end up in Newtown Boys.
You learn new things.
I went for primary school.
When your 2 children, Westmoreland and Beta, reach to school, and you go in St. Andrews or you go in government preschool, is not St. Andrews, sorry. Your child going by Cathy Thompson in Glencoe. Preschool extraordinaire. This is grooming. And from the moment you touch with her, she discussing with you, we registered in St. Andrews or Don Ross, where we going after, where we slipstreaming. Because she has the curriculum for both.
Right.
Okay.
She has the curriculum for both. This child going to a preschool where people staring at the wall. Teacher didn't show up today because last night was threatened tsunami shelter. And I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. This child doesn't know a tree. It has an advantage. A lifelong advantage that starts at 3. So if you go in and have a conversation about Trinidad and Tobago, I telling you stand there. Start there.
Right.
She wanna take it further. She wanna go into healthcare. When a woman is pregnant, she is damn right. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to stop running the country based on how poor somebody is, what they could settle for.
But listen. The government sets the tone, right? In any society. Last week we were talking with Fraud when we were talking about the education system. You remember we were saying how failed it is and the education system does and does not do. If you look at the first world country, I'm talking about Norway, Singapore, Korea, South Korea, and these places and their education system, you will note one critical thing, and that is they don't. All children go to school in their area, for the most part. So you're not leaving Sandy Granny to come in town because you pass for a prestige school, right? And you were just saying that.
But this is where I'm trying to go. Right? You skip some steps. I telling you in Cathy Thompson School in Glencoe, your children being slipstream to St. Andrews, Don Ross. This child in a, what do you call them, ECC? Early Childhood Center. Early Childhood Center. Right, Early Childhood Center. Where they go from there is where they go. This child now moves into a primary school that is focused on what their mother and father want for this child. They have regular, I telling you, when my son was in St. Andrews, I think it was monthly, we had to go and sit down and talk to every single one of his teachers. The child is 5. Child is 5.
Yeah.
And the teachers telling you what your child's natural predisposition, which we talked about earlier. Measure the child. Measure what the child good at.
Yeah.
What does Einstein say? If you try to teach a fish to climb a tree, you will spend a whole life thinking he's stupid. We cannot throw this broad brush.
And that's it. That's one of the failings of the education system. And sorry,
because who's supposed to be swimmers, we want to judge them to climb tree and vice versa.
Right. So when we do,
and there are other factors. I mean, you talk about the parents in the school and that kind of thing. I was big in PTA at one time, and I realized that parents' expectation on children is a serious thing.
Oh yeah.
But if your child pass for say Mokrapo, and you have a child that pass for St. Mary's, you go into the parent meeting in St. Mary's, but you're not going in Mokrapo.
You neglect the child in Mokrapo.
Right?
I
want to say something about this
that's
too.
The next thing.
In fairness to people who are low income, and that is why the odds have been stacked against us. And I could say us because for 28 years of my life, I lived at a latry. I went to Providence, I went to St. Joseph Convent, but I used to come home to a latry. And I'm ashamed to say because it has made me who I am, it gave me heart of compassion. If I own my own business, I could come in my child's school lunchtime, I could come and meet my children, and then poor people who frying chicken for prestige holding, who take away the little 150 during the COVID. If my frying chicken time, I leave at home in the morning. My children getting up, if they could make bread and butter, they go eat that, or they might have to go to school, eat the breakfast in school. When you have professional caterers, who I know that do professional catering, my daughter dissect that pizza that they just give them in that school because last week we carry scissors for the children. Poor quality food, that's all I have to eat. So I can't stay home to see my children off, drop them off to school, secure them. I can't just take time off of frying chicken to go to coming school and talk to no teacher. I don't love my child.
Why are we not having a conversation in this country about what we're getting for the 5 billion spent on education and the 5 billion spent on healthcare instead of having a conversation on why poor people making children in the first place? And
because it's easier to blame the poor people for having children than to blame the people who be given tax exempt and all the other things and the 41 people. I passed in front of the parliament the other day. And when I look at all of them cards,
$100 million.
Let me not say what come to my heart as a Christian, but I watch them kind of soul on the side, but they're wicked, and it's dogs. You understand? Because it had a little trend, I had to leave a RUM 5 o'clock in the morning. Coming on, people driving to town 6 o'clock in the morning, sleeping in the car, in the train and vest and underwear. It had to have a special place in hell for the politicians in this country if they don't repent until, because you can't make people Some people don't care. So it's not, I don't like
Yeah,
my
but
child.
Avonelle,
but I can't
Avonelle, you know what
afford
you have
be
to,
there.
you know what's sad? You know this is saddest indictment that I could say to what you just said? That those same stink and dirty politicians, it is the children who growing up in the backseat of the car, mother and father vote them into office.
Because we've been programmed.
So who is responsible?
The citizens are responsible. But
Ultimately.
But you see,
Ultimately.
But if you work with women who are victims of abuse, they have this natural love, and I say it is akin to that. What is the people in Caroni? What is the people in Laventille? They're like battered Stockholm syndrome, battered wife. You ever hear a woman who husband is bitchy? She have a level of loyalty.
So
population try to make her battered wife syndrome.
So you know what we have to, you know what you just brought us to, right?
So you're talking about
Not at all. The chicken and the egg. We're talking chicken and egg here. Right? This is chicken and the egg. If you're saying to me that the politicians who not fixing it are voted into office by people who they're not fixing it for, how do we fix it?
Let me explain your loyalty.
You hear that question?
No,
if you are having this conversation for shits and giggles, fine. If you're having this conversation with a view to fixing Trinidad and Tobago, tell me, who do you address? Do I address the Minister of Education and the Minister of Health? Between the two of them, they don't know their job. Let's forget everybody else. We talk about health and education now. Because we had started with culture. Our Ministry of Culture is a joke. Yes or no?
Yes.
It's an absolute joke. Sport.
I don't know if we have one.
Sport.
We touch on sport, we touch on crime.
Atto Bolden cries for Trinidad and the potential of this country. He is taking little Jamaican girls to the Olympics.
But what patriot doesn't cry for Trinidad and Tobago?
You're talking health and education. 10 billion. Ramona, you've sat in the parliament. We've spent 10 billion a year for about the past 20 years on health and education.
Yep.
What do we have to show for it? And why would $10 billion, that is out of a $60 billion budget, that is a significant piece of the budget on health and education. Why would the children of this country not have the highest health care and education system? Why aren't all schools prestige schools?
Because we have loyalists saying things like, well, at least we're not as bad as Haiti. And I'm like, you really want us to compare ourselves to Haiti?
Yeah.
We don't have
That's-
Haiti didn't have the kind of money that we
That's
have. And
that's a brain dead.
Your husband has hit you twice, and my husband only hit me once, so I should just be happy. Don't do the fact that I'm getting lashed. I'm getting less lashed.
You hear
And
all
so,
those
again,
kikes and
Listen,
things,
listen.
That's
That
how we
is
been programmed.
a trick in the trade. When we want to
Deflection.
justify the
Nonsense.
incompetence and the
Yeah.
non-performance, we
Yeah.
compare
We compare.
the countries that worse than us.
Exactly.
We don't
Why
compare
are we
the countries that better than us.
And years ago,
Mr.
I used to
Speaker.
have a conversation with my friends and them to try to show which parties stole the less. And then one day hit me up, now you have to be an idiot. Why are you having who invent corruption, who perfected? Nobody's supposed to be thieving. So I'm really not having you who thief more,
We talk
who
about
thief
that
less
in the first
conversation.
episode where
It
less
is wrong.
about evil and all that kind of thing. Listen, a perfect example of what you're talking about and where people have to take the responsibility. You mentioned it a little while ago with the crime and the riot and thing, right? June 2020, 2 or 3 months before a general election, we had riots in Port of Spain.
Yeah.
We had tire burning. We had police out
Yeah.
trying to get restore law and order. Monday this week, same thing happened. The same people vote the same way. So for all the riot they riot and all the noise they make 2 months before a general election, they still went back and vote the same way.
You remind me of
Because $1,200 is the price of your vote on a
the
jersey.
woman who granddaughter get the
Well,
woman
they get plenty these
the
days,
woman
but yes,
whose
1200.
granddaughter get killed in the crossfire between the police and the bandits in Carnage, who was down there wailing and gnashing her teeth for the camera,
I remember that, yeah.
garment,
Yeah.
screaming at the top of her lungs. Dr. Rowley walked by. Hey, Dr. Rowley, we with you, eh?
Yeah, that is that. Yes, that happened. That was the Gary. I think Gary was commissioner of police, and Gary had to justify to bring a whole press conference to show
And
where the
direction
bullet fly
and the
and the
angle.
direction of who
Yes, I
shoot
remember that.
and all
Yes.
that had to be explained. But the Prime Minister, who's the MP for the area down there, who they hardly see, who does nothing for the community, they will still come out and they will complain about all the hole in the road that don't get seen about, how much water problem they have, no collection of garbage, no proper collection of garbage. They will complain about that for 5 years. And he will come 2 weeks before the election and they will flock around him and praise him like he's done something.
The point is
this is the mentality of the people that we're dealing with.
When Nylon Hippolyte was the member of parliament for Avonelle West, he and I had a conversation. And I told him, because it was about a year from an election, I said the best thing that you could do for Avonelle is to tell them, marginalize yourself. Let them not know who you're voting for. Take a chance. Vote for somebody that they're not expecting, because they will never put a numbskull like Fitzgerald Hines again if they feel that they could lose your vote.
Let me get to him now. Let me touch on him now.
But they wouldn't put him again.
No, just as you mentioned,
I vex I call his name because I don't want that to be the issue. I want this to be the issue. That to the PNM, Morvan Beatam, Avonelle Silos, Nelson Street, all them things we're talking about, they take that for granted. A man don't buy flowers for a woman that he don't have to track. Is she tracking him? Well, alright, you buy the flowers. That's how they treat these communities. I asked Avonelle earlier.
And them communities, them tracking the PNM.
Right.
But the PNM
as you mentioned,
when the PSA come out to march, somebody posts on Facebook, look, Rowley Charon marching against Rowley. They don't want to move the PNM. They want PNM to get them more, get them better, and they're going back to where they was. And that is the heart.
I want to remind you, as you mentioned Fitzgerald Hines, let me don't forget, this is the man that was walking through the beater. They kick water on him. They run him.
It was a UNC activist, they say.
I don't care if it's a UNC activist. They kick water on him, they run him, all kind of things. They still went back and vote for him, right? But let me look at Fitzgerald Hines and dissect Fitzgerald Hines as a politician. Fitzgerald Hines, in all the years that I have been alive and I know the name Fitzgerald Hines, is the most useless politician ever in the history of politics of Trinidad and Tobago. And as Ramona Ramdial sit down here, I'm going to bring up some. We just talk about the divers with Paria. We just talk about no action yet. The Cali Bay fishermen.
Oh yeah.
You remember the Cali Bay fishermen?
Of course.
You remember the Cali Bay fishermen?
Yes.
What Fitzgerald Hines said?
That he not coming down and he needed an invitation.
He was the junior minister of national security at the time.
I gave him the letter in parliament.
He was fearful to go and meet the people. He told the families in Cali Bay that suffer the loss at in mourning because their husbands get killed.
Yeah.
Good. He, as a junior minister in the Ministry of National Security, he said publicly that he not coming down there because he's fearful for his life. And this is the man that we promote and make the Minister of National Security, and that's why he could stand up and say that he's not responsible for crime.
But we didn't promote him. We didn't promote
not
him.
We.
No, I'm just saying.
He could get a promotion and nobody says anything. Everybody just
by the
accepts
time
it.
this show drop, Boris Johnson will be practically no more.
Look at that.
Right? That is the
Westminster.
that is
Yeah,
but that is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Great Britain. When it comes to the point where it is no longer tenable, people whisper to you, it's time to move. It's time to move.
Who whispers in Trinidad?
Who whispering to Kamala, it's time to move?
I am.
Besides you. But besides you.
Ramona Fuad Vasan Barak. I don't know. Devan Maharaj.
When Ramdial stand up in the parliament and say the current AG have no moral authority, I say, but you don't have no moral authority either. You serving a leader that you know is unelectable, who doesn't have the ability to fight the fights that need to be fought for this country anymore, but you are still going to stay silent so that your position, because Ramona would have a position.
You want these men to stand up who again on either side, and what is the thing that's getting you buy your fancy car for 200 and something
Tax
thousand?
exemption.
And whoever gain wherever, and whoever gain wherever, you gain wherever. You want them to stand up and speak for little poor tail people in Carney and Avonelle. Alright. I go drink water that one.
But the point you make, you have a leader of the opposition who is willing to sacrifice the political party that she's the leader of and the supporters. She's sacrificing them to hold that position.
Correct.
And the membership seems to be just as brainwashed as those on the other side, as the same people, as the same people that rioted on Monday over and over for the same problems.
We've demonstrated, all of us, and all of the people that have access to the middle, that come and talk in the middle, have demonstrated the ability to do a lot with a little. That if you had office, you could do a lot more. Does it resonate with our public? And this is the question I don't understand. Who knows that Kamala, if she wasn't running as UNC, couldn't win Separia? And Rowley, if he wasn't running as PNM, couldn't win Diego Martin West.
Remember this, he lost in Tobago, eh? And Mr. Manon gave him
Yeah.
a hand and brought him to Trinidad
Yeah.
to fight a safe seat.
But remember, we talk about this.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you,
and
if,
you know why that happens.
but what?
No, but let me just
Jump in
interject
here,
here.
Ramona, jump
Let me
in
just
here.
interject here. The membership, I can't speak for the PNM because I've never been a PNM. I don't know their system too much. I can speak for the UNC. This last internals gone and previous were rigged, Phillip, so we can't blame the membership, Stephan. We can't blame the membership. Let's just say, MP said during the internals that we have 110,000 UNC members, right? Registered. I want to believe it's about 80, 90, because when we were in government, we did a membership drive. Let's go with the 110 figure. In the internals that went 2 weeks ago, only for the most part 11,000 members came out to vote. That was the fan club that was allowed to vote. Understand what I'm saying here? So what they did, they
Okay, is
created.
that different to the PNM? PNM has a vote for
Same thing.
No, it's same thing.
Same thing.
No,
Same thing.
isn't that a delegate system
When I
or
was
something?
talking to
I'm
Satish on
just
the
trying to
phone.
understand.
This morning I was talking to Satish on the phone. I want to talk about the justice system in Trinidad and Tobago and some of the things that you experience in courts in Trinidad and Tobago. And there's nobody to talk to. There's
Yeah.
nobody to report nobody to. And I
Correct.
told Satish, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a letter to God. There's nobody for you to report Kamala to.
Correct. There is no forum.
There's nobody to report
Because the
whoever in
party
charge.
arms are dead. They intentionally shut down the democratic process of the party.
I am
Understand?
writing-
So
I'm-
you and I'm
No,
a
you might not
member.
be
It
there
have
if-
hundreds of thousands of members who
if
want
you had
change, but
done
they
that,
can't
if you
vote,
had
They can't
Stephen.
vote.
They name because when they call you and they say,
Understand?
"Hello, would you support Kamala again for leader of the UNC?" and you say, "No, we want change." That's it. Your name off the list. So you can't come and vote 2 weeks after.
See that? And I'm saying to you that you know.
It's unfair.
Okay, but I'm saying to you, as somebody who's taken a responsibility in the center of the politics of Trinidad, you have a responsibility to your, I want to say your people, the people that support that party,
Yeah.
to bring that truth to them. It's not enough, and this is what I get vexed for. Vasan Pelta stone for election, it work out, he go anyway. The work starts there. When we failed in 2020 to get a seat, we didn't stop there. We
Yeah,
created
yeah,
the
yeah.
Citizens
We
Union of Trinidad and
continued
Tobago.
working.
We work, we on the ground, we busy, we work. And I'm saying to you, because Fuad is a fella, I feel we're gonna see plenty from him. He doesn't sound like he
Oh
done.
yeah. He was totally in shock about what
Because
happened
of-
in this internal. So he's
You know
going.
what I said to the UNC, and I don't care if she get back to me for saying this. I tell them,
Hey, don't be saying that because there are people out there who think I yellow. When you go and say that, now you paint me.
Are you
not
ready?
that.
I'm not yellow.
It's not
you
that.
ready?
It's not
No.
that. It's not.
It's not
Are you
you're
pink? You're pink.
You're blue.
She's
You're
pink.
white.
She has
Who's
on
your
a pink
colour?
But
sweater.
them start blue and the blue
I
and all
am
that.
just saying. Avonelle has political pedigree. Her
Of
mother,
course.
and you as a leader of a party, you know, you cannot treat the people of Diego Martin. Forget Bitam and Lavantil, who you could say they rabbit for the PNM. The Diego Martins came close a couple times. Jack Warner
207.
tell Rocky Garcia,
Yes,
two
yes.
maxi taxi and you
And
win.
you're correct.
Two more maxi taxi vote
I
votes.
remember that.
You don't show up for election and pelt a stone. You work and you develop in the community. And this is why I tell it all again, you know, people just get vexed and I say, whoever you're vexed with Jack for, he is a consummate
No,
politician.
he is.
Jack Warner is responsible for the Four Roads bypass. I and the Diego Martin Redevelopment Committee, we designed that bypass. But it is Jack Warner as a UNC Minister of Works that met with us and said, and called everybody as if this could work. If this could work, let's build this. And knowing that there was no hope for the UNC in that Diego Martin, but building for the future. There is nothing like that.
The
in those
end of the Diego Martin Highway And I believe you should give a party when they picked it, the PNM, the UNC.
Yeah,
That
of course.
last leg from KFC going down. I understand it was in the 1976 manifesto of the People's National Movement. And then it was built by the partnership between 2010 to 2015.
Yeah.
Look at how much it is.
When we get Jack to build that bypass, call Membert in the opposition say, we had that plan already.
I wish it was people, politicians would stop saying what they had planned on the next set of
Wait, but I asked him.
That said, PNM is the word that should have.
Yeah,
But I asked
Shoulda, coulda.
him. I say, but
You
brother,
shoulda, coulda,
I said to call Membert. I say, you should have never say that.
I always say that.
You should have never tell the people of Diego Martin that you could have solved. Listen, before that bypass bill, every day, because I live Diego Martin, every day traffic used to back up from Movie Town.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
side street in Woodbrook,
Yeah.
everything in St. James, road rage in the worst.
From about 4 p.m., yeah.
Westmoreland people used to hate it. People used to drive in Westmoreland to go wrong.
Used to go through the back,
Broome
yeah,
Street in La
through the
Puerta,
back in La
come up
Puerta,
in
yeah.
Mount Coco to
Yeah.
meet back in the same four roads.
Yeah, that's
To
true.
meet back this literal stupidness.
Just had to make that drive here.
You not come get them a little right turn by Mount Coco by St. Finbar's Church to ease up Westmoreland. When you drive into Westmoreland, you will see where the roundabout is. You will see concrete thing in the road and metal thing. That is to stop people coming to drive and turn and go back and do the same run.
Oh.
Watch me now.
Okay.
Watch me now.
All right.
You talking about
Even the Ghana drivers used to cut through the
at
traffic light
least
and-
70
yeah.
at least 70,000 people on an afternoon. That's what that traffic is.
Yeah.
That is what
Brutal.
that is. And
Brutal.
you, from the moment, people will forget. They don't remember who get them what, who do for what. Right, this is my new normal, let it be. What used to take 2 hours to get home, people used to leave, pick up a child in school, 3 o'clock, and 5, 6 o'clock, you still trying to get home to Diego Martin.
Yeah.
Became a 5-minute drive. And people forget. But the country easy to fix that way.
Yeah.
When Colin Imbert stand up and say, we always had that plan, I say, but you're a nasty, nasty fella. Because if you
You don't know that? You have to say that for you to know that?
but if you know that is how to fix it, and you didn't fix it,
Yeah.
it is nothing but contempt for these people.
Correct.
Listen, Maraval,
You think the water situation that Gavin
Nicholas,
solved for the people in 2020, not 2015, that was said by former member of parliament for the present member of parliament, who was the member of parliament for probably about 15 years upon that time, or 20 up until that time. So it couldn't happen, and then he came the month before elections, and people up in some part of Marvals, they got their water, and from 1991, when that person was the MP, those people couldn't get water.
These problems are not difficult
Right?
to solve.
boss man.
We need the will, we need the desire, we need people with
Political
You see,
compassion.
here's the
people with
problem. Here's the
compassion.
problem. Here's the problem. If you don't make a problem look difficult, then you can't justify why it costing 20 million.
But you know what's sick? You know what's sick?
when it really supposed to
Ricky
cost
Garcia as councillor,
make it appear to be
under the
difficult.
Congress of the People, Ricky Garcia as councillor. La Puerta people are the people that everybody leave behind. La Puerta, as you just turn left off Diego Martin Road, you pass Broome Street, because up to Broome Street, which is what takes you back to St. Finbar's Church, people know up to there. Go beyond that and see. That's La Puerta. That's right in Diego Martin.
Yeah.
That's spitting distance. That is the back of Goodwood Park, eh? Yeah, man.
Yes, yes,
That is
yes.
the
La
back
Puerta,
of
yeah,
Goodwood Park.
yeah, yeah.
That is spitting distance from Goodwood Gardens and Westmoreland. The people of La Puerta have been treated like dogs because it's poor black people. Ricky Garcia, when he was councillor, scraped the road, had it scraped from Diego Martin Main Road to the top of La Puerta Hill. Fix and patch every leak, every wassa leak. Because somebody was making a joke about the current Minister of Public Utilities, say he just find out that if it have a leak here,
Yeah, that's me.
Pressure
That was
loop.
me.
Yeah.
pressure to reach up the road.
Could you imagine that?
So he fixed every leak going up the mountain till water reached the top of La Puerta and paved it with about 6 inches of rich pitch. And the people of La Puerta couldn't wait to vote him out. I don't understand that. I don't understand. You don't have to like me. This is not... Politics shouldn't be about liking.
It has
me.
about, like, I'll give you this example that I always give, right?
performance.
When I went to pre-elections in 2015, and this young lady, she is a sample of how a lot of people think, and it shouldn't be so. But in life, if you have to deal with what is not
reality.
how you think.
Correct.
And this young lady was gang raped. When she was gang raped, I was the first person to appear on the scene. I was advised by my husband not to go because we didn't know if the fellas were still around. And the place was in an annex. But I went. I got the call, I went there, risked myself, they could have hold me down, hide it. When I've been through, but she get horned. I've been there with that young lady. I went the gun to her. A few days before elections, I saw her. I went to see what kind of show. So I said, hey girl, you gonna vote for me? She said, you can never get my vote with Kamala and Trinidad. And she forgot the person that I had been to her. But because of the party that I was aligned with under the party, she couldn't vote for me. And I saw all the people in that hood eating my mother's house. I carry breakfast for them, lunch, feed them, look for them. They didn't vote for me. But as soon as the elections was finished, they keep coming to me because they can't go by the MP. They can't call the MP and say, well, you know, Christmas Day we have no food. He ain't leaving his house. He ain't leaving nice lady shower to go and look for them. So that people, I realize in Trinidad, they don't have a problem asking you to help them. They know who can make it happen for them. If they need pampers, if they need milk, if they need school books, we could do that. But they don't necessarily want to support you if you are going to function outside of
the
so for me, I honestly think the best way for me to serve the Gomatin system is PNM. Because how was I going to get to serve my people based on how they think?
I just want to change.
Wait, sorry. I
want to say it, you know.
Just now.
PNM supporters.
Let us say that again.
Master that.
Let us say that again. Let us say that again. Say that
I'm
last.
telling you.
The way I honestly see it, because historically from 1956, except when they deviated with my mom in 19, if I want to serve my community, which is my heart, I would love to be the MP for the Gomatin West. So give my constituency and my community the kind of representation that I believe they deserve. But it seems like the only way for anybody to do that is to come under the banner by say because they don't seem to want nothing else.
PNM
and it is what it is.
Master that.
They
PNM
want the PNM.
Will come. Mr. Alexander, you know, we not no water. You will help them 100 out of 100 days.
Telling you,
I
live it, I ain't asking.
And I say to you,
They will
I
never
want you
vote
to
for you.
deviate. You wanted to do a
No,
deviation,
I
but I
agree.
just want to say this. The reason we're working so hard to assemble a team that will fix anything is that if come election, you do choose to vote yourself the consequence of no representation and sufferation still. If we've demonstrated without the power of parliament, we could make all of this happen, and you still choose to vote for people who don't care about you or your family or your problems, then I don't think you have anybody to blame in this country if nobody else steps up again.
Philip, listen.
I see what you say there, but at least for me, because I just love God, I love people, so even if they vote, I would just say, I will still have a compassion.
I want to say this.
That's the problem.
I want to say this. Listen.
That's the problem.
Yeah, more Stephan.
The people were suffering during
You know why I just tell them now?
COVID.
You know why I just tell them now? You know why I just tell them now? Once I know you're good, you know why I just tell you now? Call your MP.
Here what, man. Listen.
I done.
Listen,
Call your MP.
I think in Trinidad and Tobago.
I don't have an option.
I think in Trinidad and Tobago, we politicians and even some of the people who want to be politicians, and I said this last week, they have a false idea as what being up or getting into offices and what is are the role of MPs, what are the role of ministers, and what they can do and what they cannot do. And I think that's where we had to start. I said that last week. I want to be real. There are things a minister just can't do. There are things that MP just can't do. And we mix up. Listen, and we mix it up all the time. So MP is a legislator, right, under the Westminster system.
Not just.
Huh?
Not just.
When you don't go point out
Right?
something.
Not just.
Right? MP is a legislator.
Primarily, but not just. Not just a legislator.
You have to represent the people.
We
You're
make
member
them.
of parliament
Just
for a
now,
particular
we make them other things, right?
No.
Because we just now we bring ourselves on to believe, and because they've set that up for us to believe that they can do
But
things.
boss man,
listen, the people who
give me an example that you think that something that we expect them to do that they shouldn't really be doing because they are
well, the
legislators.
thing is, the legislators and the
I am not
the
saying they're not
they are
legislators,
policymakers. They are
but
the
I'm
ones.
saying what
Forget
else?
correct me if I'm wrong.
forget the ministers.
So
Forget
we agree they're legislators.
They are
but
the
what
ones
else?
who will put there to create an enabling environment for the society to flourish in a certain way, equitably and everything else.
Look at MP
The
here.
people who yes,
Former MP.
Go tell you what's the role of an
and the
MP.
people who make the things happen, all those things that we're talking about, are the public servants, right? But really and truly,
Okay, no, we understand.
just
We
now, but really
understand
and
that
truly,
the
but really and
PS to
truly,
sign off the
but really and
disassembly.
truly, a lot of things we say we could do, and a lot of things we say we want to do, and we will do when we get in office. We really can't do.
You know,
that.
you know,
And we wouldn't
you
be
know
able
the
to do
problem.
that.
You don't
Right?
understand the power of the parliament.
But
Wait,
just now,
but
just
hold
now,
on,
let me
hold on,
finish.
hold on.
Just
Hold
now,
on.
allow me to finish.
Before we reach the
Allow me
power,
to
the
finish.
power of the parliament.
The thing is,
Finish.
the thing is, any leader, the ultimate responsibility lies in him or her or that team. So you are the leader of your committee as the MP.
Correct,
The
correct.
ultimate responsibility lies
Correct.
in you.
Okay.
So you must stratify it. You must allow your followers to understand how you can help them.
I will comment
and,
last.
and direct it.
Okay.
I will comment last.
Right?
Hold
You
on,
go,
hold
you
on.
go, you go.
I want Ramona. Wait, let Ramona.
So Ramona,
Being a former MP,
Yes.
explain to us and
Yes.
everybody that watching what you understand to be your role as a MP from the time you was elected. Which your
Right.
role?
So, as an MP, when you are elected and you take government, we're not talking about opposition, right? So, you are an MP elected into government. You become a minister because.
Forget that. We're talking MP alone first.
Okay.
because
Just MP alone
it's
first.
two
Alright.
different things.
So-
So you represent the constituency, you're an MP. So your constituents are going to come to you for water, for road paving, for everything. They're going to come to you for.
Yes.
Right? Now that you are in government, the minister who is in the ministry that would do those
You will
things
call them on the phone.
will call them.
But I want to ask a question. What he's trying to ask you, and this is what the public
Yes.
want to hear. Did anybody hand you a document the first time you became an MP and say this is your role?
No,
And you know why?
No.
You know why?
no,
It doesn't exist.
no.
It doesn't exist.
We know
And
that.
when you no, but when
No, but
you
don't
said
some parties,
Wait.
don't some
Wait,
parties have a
wait,
kind of
wait,
retreating.
Yes.
Let Ramona finish.
So wait,
something
so wait.
like
Let Ramona finish.
So the parliament gives you a handbook and you have duties, roles and responsibilities.
parliamentary
of an
legislation.
MP. Right, that's
that's the
that.
legislature.
But when you come to your
That's
constituency and representing your constituency, you are a
No.
glorified councillor.
That's what I'm saying.
That is what you
So
are.
this is it.
Right?
Hear me.
So
Listen,
you have to do
we
the
end
same.
up-
No, but wait, Philip. We had the opportunity between 2010 and 2015 for constitutional reform
Oh, boy.
because we had a special majority,
I
right?
like where this
We
going.
had 29 seats. The idea was, and Avonelle could attest to this because she was with us, the idea was to separate the MPs and the ministers. So if you are
Executive
elected,
from the legislature.
correct. If you are elected as an MP,
That's your work.
that's your
That's your
job.
work.
You're full-time MP in the constituency,
That's
you
what
do
we've
the job.
been
And what would be the role of the
That-
councillor?
And the councillor now, well,
Wait.
I think the idea was really to do away with the council and local government.
Do you know
reform
why
and
we
all
have
that
local
kind of thing.
government? Do you know why we have local government? When Eric Williams went to Marlborough House the first time, it was part of 10 countries. And there was going to be a federation. That's why we have a federation. part.
Correct.
There was
Yes.
going to be a federation. 10 countries, 10 islands went to the Queen together. And we are leaving.
Bama and a bottle of scotch.
We are leaving as a federation. Like the United States.
Okay.
We are the United States of the Caribbean. We 10. And something happened and Eric Williams and Jamaica fall out and Jamaica pull out and Eric say 1 from 10 is not and all that nonsense.
Can't
Right,
do
I
that.
remember that. 1 from 10 is not, yeah.
But
from
what
10
was
is 9.
what was going to happen is
And they hail the man for that piece of rubbish talk and they still quoting.
every country,
What from 10?
every country, every island in the federation would have had its government, but everybody would be represented in Trinidad and Tobago, which was the seat of the federation,
As a federal seat, like
As a- like Washington, D.C.
Correct. Yeah.
and every island in the federation would have a local government.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the local government would be responsible for the things that the MP does now.
correct.
When 1 from 10 became North,
They try to immortalize that.
we
in
took
our
the whole Federation Constitution, we took the Federation National Anthem. Side by side we stand, islands of the Blue Caribbean Sea. It's not about Trinidad and Tobago, it's about 10 islands. We even thief that. We thief the whole Federation machinery. Doctors will tell you the whole of Trinidad and Tobago doesn't qualify as 1 RHA. How much we have 4?
Yeah.
We have 4 RHAs.
5.
5. Trinidad have central government, local government. It's a country divided by.
13 regional corporations.
Look.
13 or 14. Yeah.
Look at this. We divided by local government, central government, parliament. She telling you, when you appoint a councillor, they've changed. We moved from the there was an act before.
The representation
The
of
Municipal
the
Corporation Act, they had a county council before.
Right.
Remember that?
Yes.
The county council became the Municipal Corporation Act. Our representation of the people act contradicts the constitution at times, and nobody is having those conversations.
No, we need serious
Nobody's having a conversation about why we have a...
Yeah, but you sitting here and say we need to serious, you have the opportunity.
Yeah, and we
How could she have done it alone?
The opportunity.
No, when I say
advocated.
the party she belonged to had that opportunity.
But the NAR in 1986 was
They had
supposed
that
to do
opportunity
it.
too.
And for
Her mother was
Dr.
there.
Khan explained.
Dr. Khan
Ask her
can
mother
explain that.
What they
why
wanted
they didn't
to do,
do
what they
it.
could
I'll
have
tell you
done,
why.
what they
Yeah.
And I'll tell you
wanted to do and why
why.
they
They
didn't
have
do it.
not had governments. And Ramona, you're free to disagree.
We have not had MPs, people, because they are the one who could
Let
change
me
it.
finish
They-
this sentence and I can shut up for the rest of the night. And Ramona, you're free to
We
disagree.
know that ain't gonna happen. Go ahead.
But man, this man waiting on a drink. Give him a drink now. We have never had a government in this country disconnected from the secret societies that pull the strings of
Amen.
prime ministers and dictate what governments do.
Amen.
And that is why they talk a big fight outside and get in there and do something different. That is why you could hear Rowley on YouTube right now say, when Napa touched down on Princess Building grounds, 100% Chinese labor, not a worker from Belmont, from Cascade, from St. Anne, from Laventille. That's Rowley. And the same Rowley, 100% Chinese
Chinese
labor.
labor. Every project.
Tamla said the same thing about Manning. And 100% Chinese labor built the Cuba Hospital. They do these things. We the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and this is where the conversation chokes people of African and Indian descent. Because the hardest thing to face is that it's your mother and your father that abuse you, you know. The hardest thing for people to face, Avonelle can tell you, if you want to tell somebody that this priest that bless you, that baptize you, that do your first communion, also molest you, that's hard to take.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand that the PNM and the UNC is not really what we think they are. And I asked her earlier, what is left?
Let me just say this too.
That was a
More
very
so,
good narrative,
at least, East Indian businessmen could say they get something to strive and to rise and to be millionaires in this country.
Syrians can say the same thing.
But the Africans can't say that under the so-called black people party.
What
Because
black people
because-
party? TNM is a black people
Say-
party.
That is the illusion that the Africans do. Don't you dare
Since
say
when?
otherwise.
Syrian is a Syrian party.
Where
and PNM is a Syrian party.
Don't you say that to my African people. They'll be offended.
Let me not
They
jump
will
in
be
with
offended.
the African
They will be
self.
offended.
Let me
They
leave the
will be
African
offended.
self out of the conversation.
They will be
I said
offended.
once, I said twice.
Africans in this country like the illusions of
Stephen
an African
Matheson,
party,
who
but it does not
owns
exist.
Who owns Balize House?
Afro
Who
Trinidadian
owns
at the
Balize
bottom of the
House?
economic
Ask
ladder.
him, who owns Balize House?
Not the black people you're talking
And let
about.
me
No,
tell you
but
something.
who name on
You
the
see-
deed?
You see this whole.
Is it a black man?
I don't know.
Or is it one of the former plantation owners? Is it still? And I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago this. Black people and Indian people have been abused by the politics of race.
You
They've
see
not
this?
benefited.
You see this
You
whole,
say-
this whole education thing now?
you
know what me and my brothers and sisters in the next couple of years be relegated to frying chicken with that level of education, but them setting we up to fail. Boy, gas people are wicked, boy. It has a special place in it. I feel that because
But
I see
How
like
does
that.
Mokorapo, come back to
Why?
this, how does Mokorapo and Fatima,
Wicked people in this
two
place.
walls touching, same curriculum, same Ministry of Education, same teachers training college, same street,
in the same.
how does one be a prestige school and Mokorapo be the failest of the failed schools in Trinidad? Explain.
But Mokrapo wasn't always so, eh?
Boss, I ain't having that conversation.
But go ahead.
I'm asking this. Explain. If you broke down the wall, I come at it from all sides. If you remove the wall and let the principal of Fatima be the principal of Mokorapo too, and everybody wear the same uniform, would it change? Or would half the school fail?
Yeah, but a lot of dynamics.
Yeah.
Give me some of them.
You have a lot of them.
Give me some of them.
You have a lot of them. Remember the takeout, what they call the cream of the crop.
And if you put all the cream and the crop together to work together in a different environment, and you leave all the children together.
Do you know
move away from that?
Number one education in the world is Finland. And Finland tells you, do not separate the cream from the crop, because that is what brings everybody up. People actually
because
do
one
better. One community, right?
Exactly.
So if you were to break down the wall and change the name, somebody said, just remove the name secondary and senior comprehensive and junior secondary. Call all college. Call all convent and see what that do. What he was asking earlier to the mental state of the people going to school there. Okay, you wanna say, you ever watch Facebook on SCA results there? The parents who children pass for prestige schools, there is the gallery in. You ever see the silence of those who didn't make it?
Exactly.
How could you have an education system that leaves so many children behind at the age of 11 years old?
You ever see a parent put up?
That is the feeling of a
You ever see a parent put up, congratulations to my son for passing my success 11?
Well, I've been seeing that a lot lately, actually.
Huh?
I've been seeing that a lot lately.
You've been seeing that a lot lately? Well, alright, if you've been seeing it a lot lately.
I think that people have begun to realize, you know what, we will have to celebrate our children.
I haven't seen it.
We will have...
Avonelle making some powerful statements.
I feel like a traitor in a sense because of my mother vision. I went to Providence St. Joseph Convent, and actually my brothers went to Fatima. My mother was big on education. When I was playing, and it's how you're conditioned. When I was playing with the majority of my friends in Canada, they were having an argument who want to go to morning shift and evening shift. My argument, because of how my mother conditioned me, was she wanted me to go to St. Joseph Convent because she was one of the first black children to go to St. Joseph Convent. I really wanted to go to Bishop. So my argument with my mother was Bishop's or St. Joseph Convent. But my friends who I was playing with, because those things were out of their reach, they were arguing if they want to go to Mokrapo or Digo Sec, morning shift, or even, and they don't want to go Belmont Joseph because that's a bad school. Because of how you made conditions. So we need people to lift these people and know that, you know what, you could go there too, but they don't know the reality.
An inferiority complex at the age of 11.
Yep.
You tell a child that you are a failure in life at 11 years old and don't expect 6 years down the road to not have gangsters. Come on, man.
Dr. Khan said so rightly that boys and girls learn differently. They develop at different stages.
They do.
And
not just boys and girls, we have a warehouse system. Like, I cannot sit still, so I learn better if I'm twitching, doing something, moving around. But everybody has to sit down.
But the problem is we don't analyze. From young, we don't do a VAC. We don't check to see how you learn as opposed to how you learn, what kind of culture you come from.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that if you have an education system? You know what is the prestige system and the fail system? The fail system is creating labor. The prestige system is creating management. And people need to understand that. You're slipstreaming into your mother and your father's school where they went to or where they could afford to bribe to get you into, because your next step from there is that everybody you used to play with when you were small, use their boss. Right. Our education system is not a level play field where it's a meritocracy and what you're capable of doing will determine how far you go in life. That is an illusion upheld by my good friend the Archbishop of Port of Spain. No, but I want to say these things because I want to tell you all this. My role in the politics is to expose things, Stephen, that other people know as a philosophy or they know it third hand. I grew up inside it. I know these people as auntie and uncle, and I tell Trinidad and Tobago what I talk about. Listen and understand. The corruption of Trinidad and Tobago starts in the womb. It starts in the womb. You cannot tell me that a child conceived in Beetham tonight have the same opportunity as a child conceived in Bayshore.
Are you trying to say the words of the national anthem is a fallacy, Mr. Phillip Edward Alexander, that in this paradise,
all three names.
Tobago, every queen have you said, have you said that the odds are not, that the odds are against some people that every creed and race it's not finding an equal place.
Yeah,
Have you said that?
It dies in reality any situation. It's like what you just mentioned, right?
That's true. I mean,
Just
I live here.
just a simple example. Just a simple example of two children living in the same house, right? So let me say I have two children, and one child doing exceptionally well in school, and the other child not. As a parent, where you focus on it?
You see,
hold on.
But when you say it like that, when you say it like that,
as a
what
parent,
he has said,
how would you address that?
What Stephan
There are
has
different
said,
parents. There are parents who would say, because it happens both ways, and the psychologist will show you. The parents will say that, some parents will say that how they tended to the child that had the most problems, and then that child that was doing good felt they weren't rewarded, felt they were neglected. Or you have the flip side where some parents automatically gravitate to the child who is doing good and celebrate the child that
But what do you think is the right thing to do?
but look,
Of course, in a real
look what we just learned.
in an ideal situation, be balanced.
But look what we just learned in 2020. What 2020 to 2022 teaches is that the world has enough lawyers and engineers and architects. We need more tradespeople. We need more technicians.
Skilled, yeah.
We need more people to man the store and to keep us on an even keel when the crap hits.
What trade schools you have?
MIC?
How many?
Well, we could get vexed. We don't want
So
no more to get. We don't want no more to
But
get married, but we
so
could
Vol
get
is one-
vexed with
it's
the
a
party
Vol
that
one.
closed down all the trade schools.
No, but so Vol is a trade school?
But we could get vexed with
So
the party that closed down
Which
all
school?
the
Which
I know,
trade
I asking.
No,
The
it's not.
camps.
But it's supposed
Remember
to
we
be,
had
right?
camps,
Presto,
Presto, St. George, you wanted
Yeah.
Tobago,
No,
Shababa.
but you said, and this is a correct statement, children are not just academically inclined.
No,
they have
they're
children
not. They're not.
technically
Correct.
inclined.
That's what I'm
They have
saying.
children who are sporting,
Athletic.
So
athletic.
we need to analyze the system.
What about
of
arts?
moving
What
children.
about arts? When they told Winston Churchill to redirect the funds from the arts into the war effort, he said, well, then what are we fighting for? If you are not going to be civilized and aspire to the highest tenets of humanity, what are you actually in a war for?
Education
We're
is
defending.
supposed to be about inspiring.
I think we
Inspiring, so in other words, an educator is supposed to inspire you to think outside the box. Not necessarily what in a book. No, serious.
if
Our
you-
education
if you have a
system.
passion for something.
Your educator has not been so schooled, so you are asking people. You are asking people
Because they train in the same system.
Our education system allows for our children to go to
Right.
school, read a book that somebody has read, regurgitate and pass it. I tell people,
Yeah.
I could,
That's why we are so
if I
much
were to
cheap.
come back to
Yes,
school, I would go to school only
Critical
1 week for
thinking
the
and
I would
innovation
go to
is
school for only
lacking.
1 week for the year,
That is
you know.
what it is.
That's right.
1 week for the year, because I could sit down and read that book while you tell me on an exam passing,
Yeah.
come and go to the
Boss,
exam and regurgitate
problem
everything and pass your
solving.
exam.
If you really
Nobody
want,
teaches anybody to think. Nobody teaches
You know-
anybody
you know who
to
does?
motor skills. To
you know
sit
who
down
does?
and
You know who does?
figure things out.
The countries that don't make the bad news, the countries that you don't hear about, that don't make the bad news, their education system does that. And you see Japan's education system now is about the whole human. That's what it is.
Japan is
You know,
way ahead.
I read things, I tell you, these things has moved me as a big, strong, hard man. I will fight anybody. But things like this move me, that when children wait for the crosswalk, and cars, they get the crosswalk green for them to cross, and the cars stop, because the cars have to stop. When the children cross the road, they are trained to turn back and nod, bow to the cars that stop for them, and go. In Japan, you are taught when you're using the elevator, the escalator, be on the left side. So in case somebody else is to pass, there is room. You have to say, excuse me. I mean, there's just things like this. They are responsible for cleaning their own class. They empty their own bins.
Yeah.
They clean the bathrooms.
So
You
people learn
don't go.
responsibility from very young.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
That's
But-
what is
but
important.
that's
Everything.
look, I was not saying, now you're thinking, the only true subject that they have in school, for me, as far as I could remember, where a child really produces their own level of creativity and everything is art. And also, don't you studying that?
English too. When they allow you to write and essays and stuff, those,
Right,
that,
you're right.
creativity.
But with art,
You get to be creative.
how a child
But they have
would
music.
put on a piece of art. If you get 10 children to do the same piece of art, every piece gonna differ, some way or the other.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct.
Because they in
But-
their
but-
mind
but
they see it differently
But
They put it down differently. They put it on their own
Stephan,
creation.
how poor this world if Beethoven never had access to a piano? How poor the world. And then think about Trinidad and Tobago now. All of these failed schools. Because she's correct, and she's saying that the educators, you put in a responsibility on them that they're not trained for. But I want to add to this. There are a lot of people who go into education because they love children and they want to make a better world. And then our system cuts that out of them and teaches them how to make baton twirlers and chicken fryers. That is your work.
Look, I found out from a teacher today. Not today, but earlier this week. They messaged me because I was talking about the school and the education system and so. I said, Stephan, you know what we need to address? This vacation program that is starting for these children. We as education officers, that take us by surprise. The reason why it take us by surprise and we didn't know about it is we're trying to figure out where they find the money to finance this vacation program when they don't even have photocopying machines working in the ministry. The education officers and the teachers had to put up money to buy stationery.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. You understand? They dipping in their own pocket.
Where was this money when those children that failed needed laptops and tablets? Where was that $10 million?
I think the lack of inspiration from the students in applying themselves to the work has to do because teachers are not inspired. Because the whole system in a mess.
Yeah.
And if I have to come to work and constantly dip in my pocket and I'm not being reimbursed, right? Then I just come into work to go through the motions.
Wayne Sturge told me. Wayne Sturge told me 20,000 children do SCA. And if you follow those 20,000 children over the next 5 years, by the time you reach the 5th year where they're supposed to do CXC, 8,000 children missing. Children failing, they're not coming to school, they have no interest, nothing.
Interest isn't there, they're not inspired.
You've just taken the best years of a young child's life and wasted it.
Destroyed.
You've given them nothing.
No hope.
But a negative complex that is their role.
Think about currently right now. Think about the job market right now.
Like how you supposed to say in this place?
7 months. 7 months. Right? Well, gate funding cut, I think, again, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so gate might be an option for me. 7 months, where do I go? Where in Trinidad and Tobago are we? When everybody talking about the state of the economy, and the economy is, when we talk about crime and we talk about education, we talk about healthcare, we talk about everything, when you mismanage the economy, this is the ripple effect.
So what you're talking about, right? Here's what you're talking about. That the government is supposed to know not where the economy is going to be today. And this idea that PNM come to office today to scrap everything UNC is doing, or UNC come to office to scrap everything.
Yeah.
The government is supposed to be about where will we be 20 years down the road.
Exactly.
Correct.
Where will be 20 years down the road? What will this country need tertiary wise?
Right.
So you will make sure that there are enough tertiary places for the children. Or if you know that you're going to be...
Probably only man was thinking that way in all the ministers, in all the prime ministers and all the governments that have been...
With Vision 2020?
Probably only man was thinking
But they didn't reach this far, because if you know that you're going to get into, let's say you're going to get the aerospace industry, you're going to need engineers and you're going to need designers and machinists and you're going to need these things. So you're going to make sure that everybody who going through school, they tell their parents, listen, university is $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. But we need machinists and we need engineers. If your child want to do that, we paying for it for free. They just have to come back and work for 4 years.
Yeah.
So you're creating people, skilled people, to work in the industry that you see coming 20 years down the road. I keep asking, besides the good fortune of oil and gas that bubble out the ground, what is Trinidad and Tobago?
Chocolate. Cocoa. We don't capitalize on cocoa.
No, but forget
We are some of the best.
You're right by
we are
saying
some of the
that.
best in the world,
But
right?
what are
We're supposed to be one of the biggest exporters of chocolate in the world.
What are we now?
We like cocoa planting, right?
Huh?
We like cocoa planting.
Trinitario cocoa growing in South Africa catches it.
We like
all
cocoa
over.
planting.
No, we have a high quality of cocoa.
It is growing in South Africa now.
Our family with a whole estate had a whole estate of cocoa.
I remember Vasan Bharat shared that story with me when he was Minister of Trade and industry. He went to they had a whole contingent that went, I can't remember which country, it was Switzerland or wherever, and it was a chocolate thing, and when they land and they heard they were from Trinidad, everybody was following them because they
we have the highest standard of chocolate in the world, and we got it accidentally because some disease wiped out our entire cocoa, and we imported cocoa from Venezuela. And between our dying cocoa and the Venezuelan cocoa, it merged and it created a new cocoa that we call Trinitario. That became
so where's that industry?
That is why men like Venezuelan. So
where's that industry?
That fusion of cocoa.
Why didn't we
I
create
am
that
not
industry?
joking when I'm saying to you that Trinitario cocoa is grown not in Trinidad and Tobago. It is like pan is manufactured for export.
Steel pan.
Not
We never
in
properly
Trinidad and
capitalize
Tobago.
on
If you're talking about pan, if you really believe in pan,
revenue from
where's the
Stephan?
pan university? You look at all the
We don't have a pan factory. We have a pan factory.
Boss man, they have 30,000 people living in
We don't have
Cocorit.
a proper pan factory.
Cocorit was a fishing village. Fish is important to your diet. Doctors tell you if you can eat fish once a week, natural omega. You see all the talk that Fuad gave you about natural omega in fish,
And,
fish oil, natural fish oil.
You know
But look,
why I say that? I said that, listen, if Trinidad government really want to fix the nutrition, because you see this COVID thing, when they talk about comorbidities and
Lifestyle
most of the people die
diseases.
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Listen, you could fix that.
Yeah.
Give fishermen subsidized gas for fishermen.
Everything could
How
be
you
fixed.
can fix that?
And
Stephan,
insist that the
everything
selling
is-
the
anything-
how you
fish
can
be
fix that when you're telling people
less
the
money.
number one source of nutrition in the country is Starbucks and KFC? Messaging is important. Messaging is important. I tell you something, I was fortunate enough to grow up in the last generation that knew blue food. My favorite things in the world is things like oxtail and baji rice and edibles. I like that
You
kind
ever
of
see,
thing.
have you noticed? I mean, everybody must have noticed by now if you're living in the West. It amazes me. Ever since McDonald's opened on Cipriani Boulevard, you see the line, the drive-through.
But I tell
Have
you,
you seen it? That drive-through always
my
full.
cousin is the owner of El Pecos. And El Pecos,
You never see people line up so far.
food by the pound, El Pecos brought back plenty things that was lost to the restaurant and the fast
Yeah,
food
yeah,
market. Our fast food diet, I was excited to go in a McDonald's because it was in Trinidad and a McDonald's open.
Right.
But it's there now and it's available, and I will not eat that food. Now, I said as the healthiest
But there's
person in the
lots of
world.
people doing it,
I-
and that's why we have the health problems that we have, because
I-
we being trained, like you said, we training
KFC
people at
and
Starbucks
Burger
and McDonald's and things.
Do you
Yeah,
know
you
that
need
we per
proper
capita
food.
have the highest amputation in the Western world from diabetes?
Yeah.
Amputation and blindness in Trinidad, but you don't
Yeah.
see those people when you're in Zen boogieing. So you don't know.
It is not by
that the diet and the
coincidence.
lifestyle.
It is not by
The lifestyle,
coincidence
lifestyle,
that
lifestyle.
United States of America have an obesity problem and Trinidad and Tobago have one too. We are Americanized. Everything that's what it is. It's Burger King, it's McDonald's, it's KFC.
You know, I
it's-
just realized it get tired and he can't talk. This is
Yes.
how grand his gestures are.
No, because but is it truth what you're saying? So when you're talking about when you're talking about nutrition and healthier lifestyle, I say it once, I say it twice, I say it a million times. If the government of Trinidad and Tobago, any government, really wanted people to eat healthy, the healthier food would have never cost 2 and 3 times.
Exactly,
the
and I make
price
a box
of
of
the
KFC, and I
food,
make a
they'd
box of
subsidize
KFC,
it.
and I make a box of KFC, $250,000.
But besides-
$250.
No, but
If you make that more expensive,
They go back to.
But you know what's the reason?
Yeah,
But you know what's
$250 for a box of KFC. Now I will, as government, that's what I do.
You just lost every vote. Because I'm telling you, you see that KFC vote? I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Trinidadians,
That's a serious vote.
we gauged the lockdown by the times KFC was open and when KFC was closed.
Yes,
Brace yourself.
that's a serious thing.
But no, I see Emil Krong, Dr. Emil Krong today say, shoo, KFC back to profitable.
But that's a good-
because
that's a
there
good
was
way
a
to win
chance
the
we could have lose
election.
it.
that could be to win the election.
Yeah, we will.
Just deliver KFC house.
We will
door to door.
campaign.
Door to door.
No, KFC, Christian Boutique,
Hold on to
this
piece
too
of
was a
fries.
paid
We want
commercial.
them.
I was going to tell you something and the man made me
Don't forget to vote orange tomorrow. Eh? Look at Zinger. With our
We will open in the church.
You know, if you did what you said, if you did what you said to fast food, the cost of healthcare in
You'd
this
have a
country
riot.
would go down.
Of
Yeah,
course,
but
it will.
Mama Rat, yeah.
Of course, it will go
That's
down.
right.
Watch me.
Because
Mama Rat.
They will take you
They go
in the
block
sea
road.
and they will set you adrift. They will revoke your passport.
Block road.
I tell you,
I tell you, yeah.
those Stephen Matheson apologizes to the people who eat fried chicken. No, but you need public
Well, just
service.
give all the citizens and them an air fryer. I don't know.
Public service
They
announcements.
like the oil and the deep fat.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you buy a doubles and the paper
That's a
don't get
next-
see-through with oil, that is not a good
That is
doubles.
not the doubles, correct.
The paper does get, you see in your own hand, the paper disappear. and
They can lick that paper.
I mean, look at that. Look at our doubles is right now.
Mr. Doubles.
It's Mr. Doubles.
What is it?
now.
$5,
It's
$6?
$5. If you could
Some
point me
people
to
are
a $5 doubles are going in now.
Some people are sick. Some people are sick. That's some still selling at 5.
Yeah, in Central have.
I just buy
I
1% doubles in Maraval.
I thought
Oh,
it was going
Lord.
to about 8 you know.
I think before the end of the year, it will reach about $70.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
some of them making it
I
really
think so.
small now.
You're making joke about that, but for
And
people
tin,
on fixed
tin.
income, people on fixed income,
Yeah.
you gotta buy doubles and
Let
cut
me
it
tell
in
you
4
something,
and
let me tell you
share
I
it.
just be wondering
Let me
how
tell you
these people,
something.
when you go on the avenue on a Friday,
When-
you see a whole lot of people. I wondering
No, but
how a person who live on about $4,000 a month
Let me tell you something. My
on the
father,
avenue.
People have to
when
find
he
ways
was
to cope
before he
with
had the
this.
business and thing, right? When my father and my mother divorced, my father went into, oh God, well, you know, break up marriage and thing, oh God, start to affect him and thing mentally and thing, right? He take it on. My father was
You'll get licks when he
unemployed.
see the show.
He
You
was-
put him on business in the road.
No, my father was unemployed for a while. And the thing that saved my father was doubles. It was breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And I could join
That's
him
what
in
he
that.
could afford.
I could join him in that diet.
He was a bad diabetic.
He diabetic, no. But what I'm saying is, no, but what I'm saying is,
He lived.
doubles.
yeah.
He's 69 and he's still eating it. 3-4 days a week. Bring doubles, eh? Bring doubles when you're coming.
Watch how the illusion of
get
health makes Subway the #1 restaurant in the world. Subway past McDonald's, you know. Subway is the biggest in the world now.
Subway.
Subway.
And Subway
Subway.
is still not
Subway is the
most
biggest in the
healthy.
world, and it is not healthy at all.
Not the most healthy.
It is-
food
They
that-
just say, but they create the illusion.
Yeah.
That is the
That's
other
what I
thing.
say, the illusion of health. You
Bread
see,
is sugar.
boss man,
The meat
Processed
is
meat.
not
It's
real.
not real.
Right?
Okay.
The lobster.
Where you getting lobster for
Cardboard.
$45, man?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me now, where you getting lobster? All that lobster is a big chunk. And people tell
and
you,
you
oh,
know,
not the
you know what it
lobster.
shows?
It kind of smelling like lobster.
You know what it shows?
Flavoring.
It shows that you could tell. I will never forget. I will never forget. I went in Trinity Mall and buy a belt once because I needed a belt, and I buy this belt, and it looked nice and it feel heavy, and I buy it, and in about a month it crack up.
How much have you
And
paid?
wait, I take it back to complain. I saw they sell me a genuine leather belt and it crack up in 3 months. Fella say, read what you buy. And what what written on the belt is genuine belt. They had no leather.
How much have you paid for that bill? You pay remember?
Not genuine leather.
I buy a genuine belt.
It's really a
I
belt.
remember.
You pay remember?
And they
But
didn't
we don't care
lie.
where you make it.
If I take them to the bureau standards, they could say, boss, we
Genuine.
sell the man a genuine
Genuine
belt.
belt.
I
Correct.
was the man
You
who
lost
li-
it.
I line up and buy. You see, I learned from my mistakes. I buy a Gavin Klein watch. And this is Calvin.
Gavin Klein. Who's that?
Calvin cousin.
It looks like Calvin Klein.
I just see the price. Watch me now. You checking your belt to see if it bad or not.
No, I know it's not G.
Use one of them. You one of them fellas was walking around. He one of them fellas was walking around with sneakers with the upside down
Calvin
swoosh.
Klein,
What's it?
boy.
The upside down
No,
Nike
but as you
size.
talk belt, right? As you talk belt, eh?
No, but I mean,
Panda, I
they're
want
doing
to
the
buy a
same
belt.
thing, eh? They're doing the same thing.
I going to buy a belt, eh? No, I don't know. Maybe I real old school. I haven't bought a belt in a while, eh? When I say people buy, my mother buy a belt for me with the waist when she buy pants and thing. Why the belt going up in the mall to buy a belt? $155 a belt?
That's a cheap belt.
The things that Stephen just get worked
That's
up
not
about.
Calvin. That's not Calvin Klein belt.
But I come up in a time where the pants was a certain price and the belt was a fraction
That
of the
time
price of
change.
the pants.
Now you go.
Shit.
But the pants and the belt is the same price now.
Yeah.
Hello? That's long time. A good belt is $195, $250.
$200.
Like the Perry LS, you know, different
Yeah.
different belts. Yeah,
No, but poor people have to be.
Calvin Klein?
That buckling himself.
That's
Because
like Calvin or Gavin.
Nah, this was Calvin.
No, but listen. China, 25% of China's exports is bootleg.
Yeah,
But then we just get down here.
More than 25%.
Let me tell you
You know,
something.
I did an experiment
You see
in
that?
Las Vegas about 2 years ago. I tell my friend, I am sure. Let's see how much things you walk in a store. We walk in about 3 stores. And in every single store on the strip in Las Vegas, 90% of this stuff made in China.
Yeah, listen. The fellas who selling sneakers
Almost
all
everything is
in
made in
our
China.
Rangwares and thing and Chaguanas, right? And they're selling all these brand sneakers like Nike, Adidas, and all them for $600 and $700, right? It's knockoffs. It's
Yeah.
knockoffs, right? So I go on, I go on our Rangwares now.
But the original one is made in China too.
So, but here the thing.
China make everything.
So the fella say
China
Yeah,
making
we
the
gotta
original
And
and
the
The fella say,
knockoff.
listen. The fella say, Stephan, let me tell you.
you will get anything in China.
He said, listen, I just bring in all the country now and then. He said, it's better you buy it here, you know. Because I do business if it's original or if it's knockoff. If it, and the knockoff and them real good these days, right? So he was explaining me, he said, listen, all them fellas and them from town, just come here. They just buy what we have. They just take stock, wrap it in plastic, put it up on the shelf, and mark $1,200
Yeah.
and say it's original.
That's it.
Because you can't tell the difference. So
I-
when people tell me about, oh, I had to get my thing original, you know, I
If
just
that-
laugh at them.
Brother, if that belt had last, I'd have never known it was a genuine
You would have never
belt.
know. You would have
It
never
was a
know.
genuine
If
belt.
the watch hand
you
didn't
will
fall
never,
off,
never realize it's a GK and not a CK.
Ah, CK.
if the watch hand didn't fall off, I wouldn't have reason to check.
Ah.
No, but
yes.
but
But the knockoffs get better.
Rob Jacobs never want to go.
But the knockoffs get better. You can't tell the difference now, eh? I'm telling you, you can't tell the difference now. Which is
It's
very
a-
good for
it's a-
people like me. who
Like,
really go
but
fuss up on
that
buying
people who
original
know the
thing.
difference.
I would buy original shoe. A shoe.
have
like a
you,
dress
when
shoe.
last you went by a
But not that
shoemaker?
sneakers.
When last you went by a shoemaker
just
to
say
repair
that.
a shoe?
I
What?
bought 3 pairs of shoes.
When last you went by a shoemaker? Because I
About 2
have.
months ago.
No, I went by one
Someone.
yesterday.
Where?
By the way.
And
It was
and
a
I
fix
felt
a
like
shoe
you
I bought
go
at the
back
shoe
there.
locker about 2 months
I
ago.
have a partner.
And it started laughing in the office
Them little
Sunday.
tips used to be $10,
After 3
$40
weeks, the
back
shoe
there.
started laugh. 3 of them. I bought 3 shoes in shoe locker. I paid about $1,200 for them. 3 shoes. 3 pairs of shoes. All of them laughing.
You know you're drunk.
No, I
Tell them why you're drunk. You say 3.
3, yeah, sorry. 3 pairs. Yeah, well,
And you say there's 5.
Is he punching? Is he punching? Is he punching?
Yeah.
No.
I wanna drink what you drink,
What I'm saying is, for the last 2 years, it appears that those shoe places in Port of Spain had the shoe, it wasn't
Yes.
selling. So they say sale, it was 700. That's what they're saying. They're selling it for 400, which probably was about 20% more than what they purchased it for. And you go and buy it. But here what they're telling you, you only have, there are no warranty on it. No warranty on it. So I bought 3 pairs. Let's never
Yeah,
take
but
a
you-
chance. They're looking
Yeah,
good.
buy one,
This
yeah, buy
one
two.
here.
Boss.
I bought 3 pairs.
Right.
You know the style I don't carry them at the shoemaker after the first pair?
Did you?
Each one of them.
Why didn't call it the raw standard?
Nah, that ain't making no sense.
But I was telling about my partner.
Anything is working trend now.
You know, I was telling about my partner with the shoemaker partner. And he tell me, nowadays, business booming, big shot people come in with things that they would have throw away. Or they put in garage sale. They come in with it now. I know him because must be my 10th sole he put on my shoe. If I buy a shoe, it will last me until,
Right.
because I leather shoe, and I'll go and make sure it's a real leather.
Nah, good. A genuine leather
Not
shoe
a-
will last you.
Will
Yeah,
last.
yeah.
It will last you. Listen, we the only people that's had to worry about them.
You gotta
things, you know.
check to see if it's not genuine
Women
weather.
always
or not,
lucky,
if it's genuine weather or genuine leather.
Women always have it easier.
I know you're going
Why
to
you say
check
that?
all your
Right?
stuff.
Yeah, I go there and check
Huh?
everything.
Why you say that?
No, women always have it easier.
Yeah,
Or they
yeah,
have
we
it
have
easier.
more.
Or they
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
study
yeah.
about knock up. Always go by a seamstress. Always go by a seamstress
Really?
and get everything. The majority
Really?
of them.
Nah,
Really?
no, no,
Women is
no,
going
no,
to-
no,
You
no,
ever
no,
see?
no,
You ever
that's
see
the
the
wrong
price of
time.
women's clothes?
Listen to me.
You go to Chagonas.
It doesn't make
It's a
sense.
women
like,
clothes,
go
whole
buy
suit,
a
whole
coat.
outfit,
Go
and
and
they got
buy
$60 or
clothes, then
$100.
go and get-
I'm telling you, they always have it
This is
cheaper.
the
women,
craziest. That's the craziest
We
view.
just always pay more money.
Boss man, I was going to Price Mart in Chaguanas to get a table for a school on Saturday gone. And if you see the traffic to get a Price Mart, I say, we're going to buy Price Mart. It's not Price Mart.
No.
The traffic was the Ratans.
Pennywise.
That's Pennywise.
Pennywise more.
And Ratans
and
will be
Ratans
same.
is there.
Oh God,
Yeah.
well look at that.
So Ratans
If the riot started in
I
that.
always find women.
No, I bought a pants in Ratans.
We do. We have
Still have pants, you know.
more options.
When I buy it for women,
it was a good pants.
it's always easier on my pocket than when I buy it for myself.
I don't care if
It's
people,
always cost me more to buy male clothes.
boss, you're not buying good woman clothes. And they will beat you with it. I tell you.
The man say a whole suit for a woman is $60.
On top of that pants on
That made in China.
I hope the women who date Stephan paying attention.
Well,
Listen,
you can buy that for our tea in
Now
Top.
listen.
check for the label that Stephan gave for Christmas.
I usually buy perfume for women. women seem to be obsessed.
What is
with
by
perfume.
real ones? I can't believe it's not our
No,
version.
genuine thing. I know I don't know.
No, our version of.
No.
Are they toilette or cologne? The real parfum.
Perform.
Or
In
the
school.
the toilette.
In school.
Ah.
But-
Stephan.
See?
Listen, I never checked that tonight. You just pick up.
But wrapping it up, right? Wrapping it
I
up.
hope you don't buy it in Pennywise.
Because
When I boot
No.
Because in
But
case,
don't ask them that. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them. No. What we just do is we just order straight from the manufacturer.
let me just say
So that's
to
why
the
we can
viewing
afford to sell
audience
this price.
and hear this, right? Two things. One, tonight's show we had some technical difficulties. So if you see some rough chops in the edit, don't blame David Welch or Satish Ramsaran. It was
Yeah.
what was it called? Murphy's Law.
Everything
Everything that could have gone wrong did in this filming. But we were lucky to have Ramona and Avonelle. And next thing, to the people who will come on the chat and say all little cross talk one another. You see the name of the show? Rum Shop Talk.
Shop.
It is not cathedral and church talk. This is mosque and temple talk.
Thank
This
you.
is rum shop talk. If you don't want to hear rum shop talk, change the channel.
Wait till we start to drink rum.
Water.
And as we on that,
Everything white.
we're looking for a good rum sponsor in truth.
Oh, God. No, I'm organizing that.
Single malt rum.
I'm organizing to get some alcohol on the set.
If you would like to
Drinking from
advertise
next week, people.
on
It's a
this
good thing I
show,
come before it starts to see the
Yeah, we're gonna be
timing.
drinking from
I
next
need to
week.
come back for a second show.
the first, of course,
We will have you back. We will have you back.
Ramona here, Jira Pork and rum coming.
The
Avonelle saying she glad she on this show. Ramona said, no.
No, bring me back.
Bring me
No,
back.
but we're working on that. So in the coming, maybe by next week, if I can get everything finalized, we will have actual drinks. What do you drink?
Anything but thing to eat.
I am single malt Scotch.
Single malt. Oh, so two always drink the same thing. Oh well, all right. That all right. Cool.
Let me just say this, right? If you're interested in being a part of sponsoring and having your name called by this bevy of influencers, reach out to Felicia Holder at 7694590. You could call Stephan if he's one of Stephan partners and cut your little backroom deal. We good with that.
We will promote your business, your product during the show. It's not a problem. You know,
Yeah.
just send us.
Hook up and fix up. We're looking for a good Jira Pork sponsor.
Yeah, we also willing. No, but we also willing like with the editing. When they do edit the show, so if you have a business, we could put it in a ticker tape, running below the screen. We could put it in a
You know, as you
screen.
talk about that,
We
I
are real
remember
like yes,
Spangalan.
marketing. So
I
My
remember.
chance
all of
to
those
win
sticks.
something.
Was it-
If you run, you can learn something.
Hey,
Can just
it wasn't Sprang. It was Tommy Joseph in a concert that they had in the country. It was something to do. It was like a calypso show, like a national show, and the system was giving trouble. But they have big on the stage renter arm on the sides, the signs that obviously who doing the system. And Tommy Joseph said to the audience, "Let us have a round of applause for renter arm, so they could go and get one." And yeah, natural, natural.
He's good.
We talk some serious stuff
Tommy
tonight,
Joseph
and I
was
want to
good,
say
Tommy
this, and I
Joseph
wrap this with this: that the issue is, and it always gonna come down to this: it can't be me alone or you alone. The country ain't gonna work so. It had to be a we thing.
you and I.
It had to-
Unity.
Yes.
when we talking, we end up in the education, we end up in the crime, we end up in all of those things. But we were talking about the community and the fact that the things that used to knit the community together, the culture, the carnival, the Jose, and the sports. Why don't we have a sports league or a football league to use up all them stadiums that we have? Why those things are happening? And we had to bring people like Gary Griffith and Atto Bolan on our show. Also to the people who buff and say, where the women? This is our fourth episode and we now get two women. Avonelle was invited from the first show. Ramona had an election to fight.
Yeah.
And if you look at the politics, 99% of it is man.
Yeah, sure.
And the woman that day, the husband and them come on the show because they go say that's the snipers.
Wait, Avonelle.
Why so?
Why?
I want to just
It's only because your husband is comfortable in his
yeah,
role.
but reason after 20
That's
years
what
he
I'm
can't be
saying.
insecure.
He content and he comfortable. Wait till he's secure. He's secure
But let me
in
say
this
something
marriage.
that bothered me this week with the protests, whatever you want to call it. This is when people started to say things like them people and those people.
We lost the plot. We were losing the plot.
That hurt me as a Trinidadian because we cannot have no them and they and those.
Yeah.
We are.
Cannot.
And once we isolate and we begin to compartmentalize and segregate like that, we've lost.
People don't understand what he caused. What's he caused?
But
Yeah.
if they don't,
Was
I mean,
it big
Martin Luther
cause?
King said, a riot is the voice of the unheard. People don't say, you know what, you're doing that later, Stephan, you're going to burn some tires.
But
I mean, nobody want that for their life.
He said we raise the gas if nobody here at. Nobody here at. What do you think? So people are at. People know that. That's what I had to do to get to be
You
here.
know what's the most confusing
Those
thing to me?
hypocritical people say they have better ways to be heard.
Give me a.
Please tell me, at 51, I live in Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago.
You see if I say,
How are those people ever going to be heard?
if I say,
How is,
Throwing
if I
water
say-
on the
how
member
is
parliament.
how is
We're supposed to
anybody
do-
heard?
Oh, God.
The system
Exactly.
does not work. There is no system. This man saying,
Before you jump, no, I'm not advocating lawyers. I'm just saying that people need to be
Nobody's
heard.
advocating
And miss us
lawlessness.
for that rubbish, but there are better ways
No,
to be
no,
heard.
no,
Because
no.
those people,
Nobody-
they know it and no better way for them to
nobody
be.
advocating lawlessness, but we saying this. Fix the blasted system. Telling people to go to the police complaints authority and there will be justice. Where was going to be the justice
Give
for
me a
that young
break.
man when McDonald Jacob unleashed police in Rich Plain?
Yeah.
If they had find him and kill him.
Kill him, yeah.
What justice when I clung
How-
running the
No, but how
commander
could he
system?
still be in office when you found out and you come to tell people you in a critical job like law enforcement, life and death in your hands, and you saying your subordinates led you astray and you went with that?
Yeah.
He should be fired. He should be fired.
in a real
immediately.
country, it would be. In a real country, it would be.
And I'm almost
I mean-
sure little or nothing will come out.
I mean, look
of
at something
them,
on
those
your
four
point,
guys
right?
That get killed in
On
Portsmouth.
Avonelle point with how
Next
do
2 years, they might tell you that.
No, but oh gosh, but the story don't add up, and the story don't add up, and when stories don't add up, it's upsetting. Because my taxes paying for this, and I can't blame the police easy, because it's not an easy job to be a police in Trinidad. The whole thing is a rotten spillover latrine pit. Trinidad nasty for people on every side of every conversation, and it starts and ends with what going on in that parliament. It's not working.
Yeah.
I
But
say
don't worry
we
yourself,
need a
Gary
reset.
Griffith. Gary
You
Griffith
gonna make
coming
a
back.
point?
Gary Griffith coming back, but you know what's interesting
Coming
over the
back
last 24
on the
hours?
show, not-
He coming back. We have him on the show. I have him on in the morning actually. I'm breaking down, but you know what's interesting?
I'm calling in.
You know what's interesting?
I'm calling in that show.
That's not a problem.
Give me
I take in calls.
Give me a back. You know you have to get in your show.
You know what's interesting for me over the last 24 hours? It had 2 videos highlighting the same thing in Port of Spain. And we didn't get a chance to talk about it, eh? The road by the cathedral and Express House in Port of Spain.
Yeah.
With all the potholes, right?
Pick a hole.
Right.
Pick a hole.
He did a video. He did a video. When you listen to the tone of your video, right? Our next guy did a video, which was about 3 minutes and 34 seconds. I don't know if you saw that one. The way he come is, look, I want to highlight, he come in a real kind of polite manner, like he trying not to mash
Ruffle
nobody
nobody
on.
feathers,
And I listened to both, and I listened to the 2 narratives, and I listened to the 2 deliveries. And you already know
That mind sexier.
you gonna get more attention. No, you're highlighting the problem with your delivery, your tone, everything. You know that's what most people gonna pay attention to. Because the fella he trying to be too.
Now somebody said to me, Philip, you have mastered the art of channeling people's anger into a video.
Yes. So
And-
that's the point I was trying. With the other fella, he's like, well, okay, I could understand. Oh yeah, boy, that bad boy. But you, it's like, what do you?
You hear what Martin
Right.
Martin
What-
Daly?
what-
Martin Daly
So, you know,
said-
you wanna get angry now. You wanna grab the
I don't know if he complimented
Drag him
me.
down
I
to
don't
see
know if
it.
he complimented or insulted me, but he said that, and Martin
What
Daly,
complimented you?
not you, Martin Daly,
Oh,
the
Martin
column
Daly,
Sunday. where he said the tone and the delivery, but you have to keep sticking it to the establishment. The issues raised about flour that I raised, that is one of the most viral videos I have done so far. And Trinidadians, you're talking about go to who do they go to? Who do they go to? I can't afford to feed my children. Who do you go to?
Yeah.
Somebody, I tell people, you say go to the MP. Please go to your MP's office. Your taxes paid for that.
Exactly.
Go there. When they come and throw down your house, take all your belongings and go by your MP office. If all of you all put aside, you see, plenty of people reach there where they put aside their pride and their shame, and they're coming outside the grocery with the signs now. You're seeing it. You're seeing people with the signs telling you how much children they have and how much rent they owe and what their situation is.
Terrible.
It's horrible.
When you're passing by West Mall there, by the
Politicians seen that? They don't go to
Even if they see it, they don't care.
They don't go. They
If
don't
they
see
see it, they
that.
don't care.
we have 41 Marie Antoinette in that parliament.
Politicians
Remember
living in a bubble. No.
You have to remember.
They not bubble. They don't know
We
what's going
were
on.
just talking about the protests in Port of Spain, right? The Minister
So wait, sorry,
Minister of
did
National
you like
Security.
my video?
Huh?
Did you like it?
Yeah. The Minister of National Security sat in a
Sat
press
next
conference and fell asleep. Did you see that? Did you see that?
You can leave the RUM shop, eh?
You didn't
And
see
look
I
out.
do not watch.
You didn't
I
see
do not watch.
the clip where
I do not
Fitzgerald
watch-
Hines fell asleep during
I do not watch
the
anything
press
of that
conference.
gentleman.
Multiples of
A
things.
reporter was talking to him and he was so.
Oh my God.
I'm not coming because I could become a minister and one day I went tired and I bep out. So, these few
I
months.
could understand, but it's not the first time. The man was delivering a speech just a couple months ago.
You know, I don't care
about
if
the Coast Guard.
you know, I don't care
and
if
in
he
the
fall
middle of the
asleep, eh?
speech.
No, I don't-
You didn't see that one?
Boss.
In the middle of the speech. Hold on. In the middle of the speech, talking about the Coast Guard, and we have to.
The poor guy tired.
Stephan
How is
is
that
not
possible?
In the middle, of the standing up.
The poor guy-
Stephan
the poor
Reis
guy
is
tired.
not a Fitzgerald Hines
Oh,
supporter.
gosh.
I want to tell you something. I don't care if he fall asleep or
Get him
not.
man a break.
If he walk in, I
He's
don't
tired
care if
of
he
doing
fall
nothing,
asleep.
eh?
Listen,
True.
I remember Robin Williams when Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky was the issue. Robin Williams came on a comedy show and he said, I don't care if he humping chickens. As long as he doing the job we paid him for. That's all I concerned
Okay,
about.
and I don't care if Fitzgerald Hines want to fall asleep.
Exactly.
But is he doing the job that we paid him for?
No.
No.
And I'm saying that. So to Avonelle, who is saying that one day when she's in the parliament, in case she fall asleep, she has nobody come down and
Because she's
roll.
a worker. I wouldn't compare Avonelle to Fitzgerald Hines.
Oh, never.
Oh gosh, that's comparing.
Let me get a joke about. Oh, shit.
When you watch,
Another one. Another one.
watch
Let me
out.
See, look, the microphone roll forward.
Wait,
Watch out, let me get a joke now. I can't get this joke.
Why you was drinking all the
I
time?
watch out.
No.
it's-
Let me tell you this joke. In
You're rapping,
2015,
you're
my
rapping.
year, in 2015, I give this joke already. Go on to get it and to get some kind of affidavit or something to file before you go for election.
Yeah.
So who I have the good fortune of meeting, the Honorable Minister Hines. Them time he just come because you know Mr. Mime had him in the bad boy corner.
Right.
So Dr. Oli gave him some bank now. He'd say, what you going to do? So I said, come to file my thing. He said, don't even waste your time. What you gonna do? I say the PNM have offered me. I say the only person in the PNM have had a conversation with me as far as I say. He said, what you gonna do? You gonna waste your time? He said, you're not even going to get back your
Deposit.
Deposit.
He said, don't even waste your time. Don't waste your time. You know, he just talk.
He likes to talk like that.
You know, this kind of way.
Yeah.
So I feel a little thing. I say, God, I said, I don't ask you for much. But I say, me monk to win that seat. But whatever happened, don't make me lose my deposit. I didn't lose my deposit because I wasn't giving Heinzie that. You understand? I get 4,000 to
But
Dr.
he is the
Rowley
he's the most fired politician in the country's history.
Man, tell me don't waste
How
my
much time
time.
they fire him?
Most
I
fired.
could- no,
Most demoted.
Most demoted.
He is,
He had more than Marlin.
he is the greatest junior minister in the history of politics in Trinidad and Tobago.
What?
a-
I
He's the
couldn't
junior,
lose
he
my
was
deposit.
the
That
junior
man
minister
give me
almost everything.
He's
That
a
man give me the
professional-
impetus to
a
make sure me lose my
professional
deposit
bench
because I
warmer.
wasn't giving him that satisfaction.
Anyway, listen.
Pack
The
you
ladies
over.
joined us
No start.
today in the RUM shop. Send us home now.
All right, yeah. Well, yeah. Today in the From Shop, we want to thank Avonelle. We want to thank Ramona for coming in.
Thank you.
All right.
But no, she didn't let the dog house. I saw it for shit.
And
Yeah, for what we said last week. To the people who didn't send the cake, what went on?
cake. We're supposed to have
Cake? Wow.
Just,
For Maria Antoinette.
there are people outside there who you know yourself. You make a good pot of pill out today. You gonna drop some. That's what I'm saying.
Look
I
at
second that. I
That's
second
what I'm
that.
saying.
But next week,
Bring something now, you don't hold back.
next week I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about because this country.
If we have a sauce,
A sauce.
in the rum shop too.
A
Not
nice
not
sauce.
chicken foot sauce. I don't
To
like
break the alcohol.
it. To break the water.
Sauce, boy, why not wings or something? Right?
I feel
Why
we
not
could
the-
have
why
those
not
kind of
the
things. And if
sauce?
you're in the business of making sauce and rings and things, and you want a little blind, we want a little blind, let we live together.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If we
Two hands
taste,
to clap.
if we taste your hand, and we say your hand, good
You know
to
how
go.
drunk he is? Watch how drunk he is. Eh?
That
That is his camera.
Oh, there's the camera here, right? I'm drinking water.
He trying to
This is the effects of bottled water.
Oh my goodness.
Ramona-
Artesian well water.
Ramona, Avonelle,
I
thanks a
noticed
lot for
it.
coming.
Two of us
Thank
have a
you.
different.
It is the
it's a
effects
pleasure.
of bottled water.
Pleasure.
But thanks to the ladies.
I will cook
Stephan
something for
Matteson
you and
is
send.
Stephan
Alright.
Matteson
Yeah.
is the grown up
Wait,
in the room.
I will cook something for you and send. I love to cook. All right? Curry is my forte.
Oh, God.
Curry wings. You ever eat fried curry wings?
No. What? Curry wings, yes,
You
but
see, you know why
fried
I
curry
confuse
wings,
you? You know
no.
why? Watch his face. You know why I confuse you? Fried wings, curry wings,
Fried curry wings?
I'm
What?
thinking about it. I think
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, but no, but
I
Stephan
really
Matteson is the designated grown up in the room because it's me and Stephan, so you know. Thanks a lot for Ramona and Avonelle for coming this
It's
first
a
time. They will be
pleasure.
regulars on the show like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
We enjoy a good time always. Today we got very serious on some very serious issues, so we couldn't make
I
like
think we should go after athlete. Maybe get athlete in the
Ato Bolden, call me now. Jump on a plane, the airport open, come in the rum shop next week.
I don't know any country.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Brent Sancho, he could talk good.
Shaka Hislop.
Football.
You know who we want?
Brent is a good man, you know.
We want Shaka. I find you sending too much UNC.
UNC people, yeah.
We want Shaka. Shaka.
I don't think
Come
Brent
here.
is UNC again.
And if
Shaka Hislop.
If he come on the show, we might end up on ESPN.
But I should.
What about Jack Warner?
Piggyback.
Jack have a standing invitation to every show we do. Jack is an interesting character, you know that. If you bring Jack in a rum shop,
Yeah.
Is it?
And if and you know any comments, if all of us see Trevor says anytime or the other, let me know.
you have to.
Can we leave you up?
Okay, I will leave now.
I will
Thank
gladly
you.
have that show. Seriously. But listen, as they talking all our UNC thing, but PNM people and any people, if you're interested in being in the rum shop, in the conversation, reach out to any of us. You know how to reach us. Send a message to Satish Ramsaran on 7968172, or you could call, what's the number? 7694590. We are, I guess, out.
Yeah, because
the
I'm
rum
gonna say
shop.
I want to say that because
In the rum shop.
After
Yo, the rum shop.
services.
In the rum shop.
This was the longest episode.
Oh my god.
It's not mine. It's
What time is it? Start after
Oh,
five,
this?
man. We had two
From a
interruptions.
fellow who's selling it on
He said that?
Nah, you only have
No, but we had two interruptions. And we start about 5, a little after 5. So there's no half.
Where's my cell phone? Anybody know?
We do about 2 hours. We do about 2 hours. That's it.
I go drink to death.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
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 So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.